like, cannabis, $50,000, click, and they just hang up the phone.
You start building the shop.
And then...
no, not right away.
We didn't start right away because almost
no,
right
there's
after
so much to get into.
Yeah.
Brooke and I are just looking at each other and be like...
We just signed a 5-year lease.
We just signed a 5-year lease. We're paying rent every single month. Plus, even the fact that we even got a lease signed and got a space, that was like unheard of in that time. Are you gangsters? Are you
So
monsters?
you were stigmatized. You guys had to stick it out for how long before you got a license?
18 months.
Yeah.
Fuck off. You ever see something so true that you couldn't unsee it? Something that you just knew would serve you. Whether it be self-awareness, plant medicine, a lover, a career. That's what we get down to here. Welcome to Disciplined Stoners, the gateway drug to mindfulness. Spark up or don't, and enjoy the show. Glad you're here. And welcome back to another episode of Disciplined Stoners. I'm your host, Ellevan.
My name is Winnie.
And we are the gateway drug to mindfulness. And today... Oh my God.
Okay,
The
what?
legends are here.
We're finally doing this.
Spoken of them.
So these two that you see in front of you, if you're watching this, they have a lot of really awesome skills in their own right, but they've come together to create a beautiful cannabis retail experience. They have gone through the weeds to get this baby off the ground. I was lucky enough to work for them for a period of time and learn so much, and I'm so grateful for these two. Please welcome the owners of 1922 Cannabis Retail Store here in Toronto, Brooke and Mike.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we did it. We finally, I think it was like 2 years ago when we were first like, oh yeah, we'll like get you on the podcast, which is so crazy because people sometimes like ask to be on the podcast, and it's not that we don't want certain people on the podcast. It's just that it always seems to happen in divine timing. Like it always seems to happen on the right, like just right timing. And this feels finally like it's right. It just kind of happened organically. We hung out at your space a couple weekends ago, and we love it there so much. So welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having
us.
Yeah. For those who don't know, why don't we just start with both of your backgrounds, because you came together to create your retail space, but you have very different skill sets as human beings. Brooke, why don't we start with you?
Yeah.
Put Brooke on the spot. This is actually like the first time Brooke and I have appeared probably together on video.
In probably, yeah.
Yes.
That's
ever,
ever.
but
A
definitely
Disciplined
in
Stoners
Casey.
exclusive.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
going to make Brooke talk a lot. Too.
We're not. Like,
I'm usually the mouthpiece for the two
We're
of us, but
honored
she's
to be here. Oh, before we get that started, obviously this is
Light
chill
up.
and relax. In front of you, we have exotic gas from the Loud Plug, and we have that one there is The Dough by Primo, and this bigger one here is Exotic Gas by the Lab Plug. So whatever you feel like, you go ahead and spark it up.
And y'all brought a selection from your store. Shout out Frost Cannabis,
which Ellevan's rolling up right now.
And before Brooke dives into her background and you talk about yours, I just got to give you huge props for not only what you've been through, but also creating the word WeedSearch. And I'm pretty sure I want to name this episode WeedSearch with 1922.
He literally said that before you guys even got here. He's like, I already know the name for this.
You guys ushered us into legalization. Like giving Winnie a backbone to even stand in the weed community to have that sort of insight. Like how you guys handle. I don't know. I'm rushing ahead.
Okay,
I want to gush a bunch of flowers.
Yeah.
But
Also, though, I'm going to interrupt you there and tell you guys a story too. So we were in COVID when we started this podcast, and I remember you guys. We like really, Ellevan and I really wanted a weed bar. We wanted different types of weed because at the time we were purchasing Legacy, and you'd get an ounce because that was the most economical. And then like by the time your ounce is done, you're like, fuck this weed. You know what I mean? Like
I'm just done.
Yeah. So we really wanted a weed bar. We wanted to try more weed, and you guys came like angels with so many samples from the OCS because you were like, we are doing WeedSearch. I don't even know if it had been established at that point because that was early days. And we need to figure out what's fire on the market so we can really curate our menu, which I just was like...
Big boss energy.
I was so impressed by that already because the prices were so high at the time. Like, they were not sexy prices for people. At all.
I forget all of that.
I know.
You guys, like, we'd come during COVID. We'd come, show up at the back of your guys' apartment, and you'd come with like a sexy bag of weed, like 14 grams of different shit, and we were like, our minds are blown. We fucking manifested this shit.
I'm in love with you guys.
Like, you started our weed bar.
Crazy.
Oh, well, you can't sell it if you haven't tried it, right? I feel
Yeah,
you
Brooke was
can't.
the catalyst for a lot of this. I can't really take any credit for it. Like, she was just like, we need to try it, and then like conceptually to me, I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're selling weed, we should probably know weed, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're not really in the industry. And then it was like, how do we like just not smoke weed to smoke weed, but like how do we do something principally with this to like thrive a business or create a business? And then we just got super nerdy with it. But like
And we still are.
but we had
I
nothing
think,
but time.
Yeah. Well, we got stuck in the lottery too, so we
God,
just.
yeah, I
we
don't-
just- we
Oh
had-
yeah, no, we need to get dive
Yeah.
into this.
There's a lot to go.
Yeah, there's so much
So, yeah, we will-
because the folks need to know what you've been through.
That's it. Like, we've kind of held back on it a bit because it's your story to more tell from first perspective.
Yeah,
and it's great
literally
we've talked
come up.
about you, but like, and we're always wearing your merch. I think you're my top worn merch, and because
I'm the only one not in when I should have worn
but you
one.
are the creator. So
I have a pin.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys have done so much right, and it's been quite the fucking ride for you. So let's start with your backgrounds, and then we'll cover things chronologically.
I kind of want to just know a little bit about you, and then where this idea of like, should we open a weed store?
Yeah, because that's
And
fun.
then we can get into like how hard that was.
Wow, I guess like up until we started even talking about it, I've spent a better part of my time in academia, and then was actually writing grants for artists with my own business. But I was always a weed advocate. Like, I got onto cannabis medically. I started transition from like pills to cannabis to like deal with pain and stuff. So I was always like on that train. And you were in Telco. Like, we're in a pretty comfy little position. Like, we're pretty,
Yeah, you were the driver.
Yeah.
A lot of it. Like, if like Brooke will be bashful, but like I could remember, like you were going through academia. I'm working I know we're probably jumping all over the place here, but I'm in Telco working like some like white collar, gangster suit sort of ivory tower executive bullshit.
Data,
synergies, turnkey, robust. All of that, and we just kind of got to a point where just like it was comfortable. It was like the middle, and it was just like just wanted to get back to an edge. And I could see Brooke going through academia, why don't you tell them about Silverside's communication so I don't step all over you?
Yeah, so I guess I got into grant writing because I put a lot of time into academia thinking that's where you were supposed to be and that's what you're supposed to do, and then I got out of it to learn that like nobody cares unless you're really in it. You know what I like? I remember applying to like 200 jobs in Toronto with like I was halfway through a PhD and didn't hear from one person and ended up going back to waitressing. And then we were literally on our boat one day with friends, and someone was talking about working with a grant writer, and that's all they taught me to do in school. So that's kind of how I took some time off. I looked at all the grants in Canada. I got really focused on where the most potential was, and it was in the arts, which was beautiful. So I did that for probably 5 or 6 years. So I started Silverside's Communications, which is just like a grant writing. So I just worked for myself and like literally wrote grants for artists. And
that's
so we had that dynamic. So
cool.
like I could see the other, like the grass is greener. Like I could see what the other side looked like. So I'm like poking around, but I didn't really know like what was the vehicle to like go from, you know, white collar gangster to like entrepreneur. It wasn't like a clear thing I could jump on, but I could see Brooke was doing it, so I was interested in it. And then I forget, how did we even get
I think
how did we
just
get to cannabis?
Legalization. The conversation around legalization started happening, and this was like pre-COVID, pre any type of like lottery, like a lottery or anything like that. And we just kind of were both like researchers, I think, at heart, and we both started researching different aspects of it. So I initially didn't think I would transition from the illegal to the legal market because I didn't really understand it. But the more we started researching, I would say like me and the culture and you and the numbers, we kind of just got talking about like the actual potential of what there could be. And again, we're at this place where like early 30s, no kids, had a savings. So we had some flexibility in our life. And I think the more we researched it, the more we were just like, we should maybe jump at this. Like if we're ever gonna do it, now is the time to do it.
It was because I'm a doer, so like if I get steered in the right direction and I believe in the direction, 9 times out of 10 I'm probably gonna come head first through the door at that. So that's how kind of Brooke and I are yin and yang to do it, because she would tee it up and then I would just like think about it. So like it was important so we could see legalization and you're like, oh cool, they're gonna privatize it. So it's like, oh, like you could be an operator and like this is a new industry, like be a part of history. I think like between my background in telco, like I think being an operator is a pretty specialized skill set. Like it's not for everyone.
Absolutely.
That's not to say anyone can't do anything, but like it's hard to be a lawyer if you're not a lawyer. Like it's just a very narrow, or like a heart surgeon do open heart surgery. Like there's a very long, narrow, like specialized path. So like inadvertently with telco, I was just kind of getting molded into this like operating beast of a person that I didn't really yearn, to be honest with you. It wasn't probably a natural thing that I wanted to get into. But could realize like, oh shit, like if there was a parallel thing that I could take this 12 years that I've been doing and apply it to, cannabis is kind of like it's multi-product, multi-SKU, multi-system, multi-blah, blah, like financially, like it kind of had all the merits and the points of like things I was doing in my corporate career. It was just basically switching out an iPhone for like an eighth, effectively. Right? So it's like, oh, okay. So like Brooke started to get me like intellectually like, let's go. Oh, okay. Like,
Nice.
Like, because it's like, what am I? Because you're at that point where you're kind of like ready to spread your wings a little bit. Like you're
need a
peacocking
push
a little bit, but you need to like take a big flap. And it was kind of like,
Take a big flap.
what am I gonna like? Am I gonna waste this in telco for like 10 years? And just like be 45 years old and just like get strung around, run along, all this shit, or should we just take the risk and think like you can fly? Like, is this the moment? Is this the time? And then it just got to be. Financially, it made sense. I think like the operating part of it made sense. And then why don't you talk about like all like the stigma of the construction? Because I was really particular on like I know the things that I know how to solve for, but like the stigma, the construction, the baggage, the history, like there's so much about cannabis that has to be like understood. Because like if we're gonna be a really good operator and be like intention-based people, we've got to really know what we're trying to solve for. Like what's the history, like all this stuff. So like I was kind of being the nerd on one half of the equation, and then Brooke was being like every day. Why don't you just talk about I'll tee you up.
Because y'all can't prep, just true.
But
You
again, I think like with our background in research, like even the name of the shop, like legalization day, I remember sitting at home smoking a joint thinking like, good job, Canada, you know, and then I kind of had this moment where I was like, why was weed criminalized to begin with? So I started again just like researching, and you came home from work that day, and I remember just being so excited and being like, do you know weed was legal until 1922? And Mike just looked at me and immediately he's like, that's the name of our shop. Like immediately, like it was just like, that's the actual name of our shop. And at that point we didn't even have like a shop, like, or we were thinking about doing it. We'd been
started
talking
with a
about
name,
doing
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I think the like my background's in sociology, so I think that like understanding the history and like why it was stigmatized and like and in sociology my focus was on social construction, so I always wanted to know why people thought the things they did or believed the things that they did, how you and I could grow up in different places and have very real realities to ourselves that were very different from each other, and even the stigma around, because I was smoking weed at this time, but like the stigma
And
around
I
your
wasn't.
your corporate,
At all.
like your corporate friends and mentors, like it was a very big kind of thing. Yeah. But also you and I have this tendency, I think, in life that when the second someone tells us to go right, we go left just by default, you know, like it's just kind of it's kind of what we do. So we just, the more we researched it, the more I understood it, the more I was like, how is something like alcohol legal and cannabis hasn't been, and you know, there's still all these people suffering from parts of like the negative aspects of it. So I think that's really where we founded the business on, or the idea of the business was like knocking down all the ideas, the preconceived ideas and the stigma.
It was
and the
day by
shame.
day. Like every day
Yeah.
I'd come home and it was just like there was momentum. It'd be like, did you know?
Which is
and I'd be
so
like,
fun.
what the we can speak freely, right? It's like, what
Yeah.
the fuck did I
Oh
just
yeah,
what?
that's fucking right.
They-
Fucking
what
yes.
happened? Like they arrested people, they've marginalized people, they've like outcasted people. Like when you start to really get into it, and you're like, oh man,
It
so-
fuels you.
Yeah.
So
The more you know, you want to know more and more and more.
Like
Yeah.
I won't
Yeah.
lie. Like there'll be like, you know, long periods of doubt, being like, I don't like. Now that I understand it, I can't unsee it. This is a really big responsibility. Like we have a huge responsibility as an
Yeah.
industry, as an operator, as every person to like really make some things right that were very wrong. And like I won't lie to you, like I'd be like, I don't know if we can do this. Like it's a lot, bro.
It
Like,
is-
once
it
you
is,
understand it at the level that we understood it, then,
That's beautiful.
because we like it had nothing but time, right? So it's not like, oh, we have, it's like there's a time, like, 30 days learn everything about cannabis. Like we were doing this, like, and to be in like pretext this, like we're talking, this is 2017.
Legalization.
This is like guys, like
2016,
we've just been
18
open as a
probably.
business for 3 years. I think Brooke and I have been doing cannabis for like probably 6.
Yeah.
Right, like really, when you think about like diving into it before we were operators, like
Because every time
so
I
it
was-
just started and it just kept going and going and going, and then we're just like, okay, like I got it. So it's like, how do we create the brand now?
Yeah.
Right, like we kind of got the name. Why don't we go through like the broad strokes of like the things that like were obvious in the construction, in like the stigma parts that we like attacked tactically in the business?
Right. Well, I think because we had time, also we had more than enough time to read the regulations of what was expected of us.
Why don't you
or-
tell
Where's
us what you had to endure to like even
Stay alive and open. Just your
just
the
before
thing that you
before
did.
you got to open doors to customers?
Existing and building a weed shop before you could make money as a weed shop. Pay rent to be a weed shop.
Because that has stigma. That's part of
Well,
it,
I think
right?
that
Like
was-
you
I
put up
think-
the
yeah.
notice.
Like I think like it all kind of ties in, right? So it's like when you start to think about like all the stigma parts, you're like, okay, cool, women aren't represented. People feel guilty. People feel shame.
We could
people
barely
feel
get shown spaces by some
like,
people because it was a
we
cannabis shop.
like
you know,
honestly, it's
just
like like it was
Bizarre.
so intense that you're like, okay, like I think we understand. Like it's not just saying big words to say big words. You're like, oh shit, like people don't feel comfortable. Females don't feel comfortable. So as a business, how do we address that? Like head on. Like if
Yeah.
women don't feel comfortable buying weed, that's a significant part of the population that isn't going to buy weed. Like that's a huge, like no other business, no other
And
industry.
chicks love weed, dude.
Right? Like
they love weed.
no other industry would accept that as an answer, being like, 50% of the world, we're not gonna try to make money
Because we're
from,
scaring
right?
them.
We're just peace. Like it's
Yeah.
So it's like it all kind of like made
Interesting.
it super like, and that's just the Brooke and I like, and I hope no one listening to this, like we're not being matter of fact. Like it's our interpretation of a problem. It's what we necessarily.
It's what you saw.
We're not saying it's right. We're not saying it's wrong.
But it's
just,
what you saw.
Yeah, it's kind of just like it was our observation that like, oh shit. So like.
But that's
When-
how
it ties into like into the store space because
Yeah.
like when we started to be like, okay,
Looking at
how do we make
buildings.
people feel comfortable? All people, all gens, all races, all ethnicities, like that translated into the store part. So it kind of like that's where it crosses. So we're like, oh shit, like what type of space is going to be like able to solve this problem? It's
really nice.
right? Like, is a big space solving it? Is it a small space? Is it a quirky space? Is it like high ceiling? Like, because that's how we kind of like took it step by step. It's like, what's the problem? And we would like attack it with like, okay, like what's the right space to think we could solve this problem? Like,
Yeah.
that's all kind of we were
Like-
doing is
like-
just micro steps of problem solving and being like, okay, this is our belief. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So you were noticing when you went to one of those legacy trap houses that when you had to go past a big bouncer who's like 6'8" and then walk down a long dark hallway in a basement before you get to a room where there's like 4 people staring at you.
Yeah, blankly.
Like,
As a woman in the city, I wouldn't do that no matter what was in the basement. You know what I mean? Like I didn't feel safe doing.
So
it.
there's some good weed in some of those places if you can get out alive.
yeah. But
Mike
that's-
and Brooke designed their store. It was the
Yeah.
first legal cannabis store in Canada. I think I did we did this research in Canada to have open windows so you can see inside
And you
the
solved it with-
space before you open the door.
With the classy bars.
So
And
that's what
it
they're-
was function and visual. Like I think you guys first year got AdCan storefront, didn't you?
Yeah.
So it's like out of all the tremendous data put behind like big things, like your like creative visualization of solving that
Yeah.
problem
Exactly.
of being welcoming
'Cause-
is what people
and,
wanted.
And like remember you were talking about how you had to get over the stigma and stuff in your own. Like we felt like it took the shame away from what people were feeling. Like you shouldn't
Yep.
feel shame or embarrassed or insecure to come in. You should be able to
We're not
see what's
hiding
in
anything.
there. Yeah.
A lot of people, well,
Like,
not a
there's
lot,
nothing to
but
hide,
some
like-
people
Yeah.
came in and they're like, "I'll have a cappuccino." And we're like, "That's not what this space is."
Also
But I
call it
love
so.
that you, I love that you think that.
So when we found the space, and then we just like it just started going and going and going, and then like eventually, the biggest part of like, so what's like we're thinking about this 2017, 2018, we're looking at spaces, and by the back half of the year, we're like, okay, I think we found the space in a weirdest part of town that no one would ever think, but like when you look at it, it's beautifully, it's flawed, it's like all the things that like you could wrap up. You're like, how would you possibly have a thriving cannabis business amongst this chaos? But it was almost like poetic in a way that it's like the space was perfect. It's basically just attacking everything head on. You're like, fuck it, let's just take everything head on right up, and if we make it through, we make it through. So we just decided that was the space. We'll take on everything that goes with it. And the biggest part of the application, because like we're ready, like pre this lottery stuff, and the biggest part of applying was the lease. Like that's where the rubber met the road. Like there was no more bullshitting. There's no more talking. Like we could be all with our friends talking shit. Yeah, I'm gonna get into cannabis. It's like, yeah, you're gonna fucking
we
put
did for, like, a year.
$80,000 on the line and sign a 5-year lease. Like,
Yeah.
because this is what we're talking about now. We're not talking shit. Like these
Yeah.
are big moments at time where you're like, you know, we're young 30s and like
Invest.
we're probably so desensitized to money at this point. It's probably really bad, but like these are big, like,
Or
you know
is
what I
it
mean?
amazing?
Not to make it like that, but it's like just to put set the table of like how much anxiety and pressure. Like these are big fucking decisions that you're taking. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, I have to sign a lease and then read these rules that no one's ever read. Brooke and I, we have to create a business, you have to create a corporate structure, and you have to try to get this thing to like open. It's just like
It's absolutely
Yeah,
insane.
and
Yeah,
the
and,
amount,
like,
the
and
amount
you're
of
like-
money you pay in fees before you even know if you're going to be approved for things.
so it's like
so
to
then,
put-
but the you're in this position where you take the lease
yeah.
and
We
then,
sign it just after Black Friday. I remember it was
And-
fucking November
What
28,
year?
2018.
2018. All right.
Think about that. 2018.
Yeah.
November 2018.
So you start building the shop.
And then
No, not right away.
we didn't start right away because almost
No,
right
there's
after
so much to get into.
Yeah, right after we
Where
signed
the
the lease, it went to they decided to not make it private.
Like I
anymore.
mean, like this is like people think we're bullshitting or like movie script sort of stuff, but like
It actually is a movie
like,
script.
I'm literally like talking about like we're signing a lease on a Thursday and like the free market applications are supposed to go at midnight that Sunday, and the biggest requirement was the space. We had all the other shit done, and literally we get an email. Was it the Friday night or the Saturday night? Like
after you've signed the lease on the
supply
Thursday.
chain issues. We're gonna have to rejig this whole system. We're going to a lottery, and Brooke and I are just looking at each other and be like,
we just signed a 5-year lease.
we just signed a 5-year lease. We're paying rent every single month plus all
Holy
like because you guys got to
shit,
remember we're
bro.
cannabis like I don't think like not to go down like rat holes, but like if anyone cares, like this is so fucking hard, guys. Like can you imagine in 2018 looking at a landlord and being like, I want to do cannabis retail, and imagine the fucking judgment coming across the
as
table.
2
at
young
you.
30-year-olds.
As two young 30-year-olds looking at us like us.
Yeah.
Like it,
For sure.
people are just like, get out.
Yeah. Pretty
Like
much.
very
Yeah.
short conversations,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Like, and then when they did the legalization, basically like every person you called would be like, cannabis, $50,000, click, and they just hang up the phone. Like even the fact that we even got a lease signed and got a space, like that was like unheard of in that time. Like I know stores are dime a dozen and things are like the dynamics are different, but like early days before anything had opened,
Well,
like
for context, we were
we
like,
had, like sorry.
no, that's okay. You go ahead. Well, we were the 60th store in the province to open.
Like,
so like,
do you remember we had to put we had to show $150,000 in a bank account to sign a fucking lease?
Yeah. Who has that? Like, I remember we have the
Liquid,
we're
liquid,
who has that kind of
$150,000
money?
sitting
yeah.
in a bank
Yeah.
account.
Not
This
credit,
is for
not
us
any-
to
yeah,
do
yeah.
the pleasure of signing a 5-year lease.
You
with
wouldn't even need to open a
and-
store. You could just retire.
yeah.
Like-
right though, and this is just for the lease.
So we
This
can
is-
give you $52,000 a year in rent.
Yeah.
You're like grilling, like we're trying to help you, and you're turning around looking at us, being like, "Are you gangsters? Are you
So you were
monsters?
stigmatized.
Are you like what
Oh,
kind
like
of
Mike
criminal
would
shit
call
is
me
going
and be
on
like,
here?"
"Don't show up looking like a punk today." Like literally, like he would call me and be like, "Don't wear sneakers." Like literally, like
can't
don't
be
wear
yourself.
a hoodie. Like
Holy.
because people
Yeah.
were giving us such a hard time, and you'd be rolling in from work, so you'd look like, you know what I mean. But he'd be like, "Brooke, do not show up here with the toucan hoodie on today. Like we're having a hard enough time as it is." Like
Yeah. Not
So-
to go down like deviate, go down rat holes, but it's like, yeah, it was like
So-
this is bringing up memories as we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah,
now.
no,
Like,
this
so
is
much
good.
has
This
gone
is what
through.
we want.
Yeah.
We want to document this.
Yeah, and just to keep the story like moving along then, so you realize that now they're going into this silly lottery thing because everyone and their sister is buying up a license, probably to resell it on some eBay flipping shit. And you guys had to stick it out for how long before you got a license?
18 months.
Fuck off. That's a year and a half, bro.
Can you imagine
We
at
had
the
them
start
all-
every month
yeah.
cutting a check for rent for a space that's primarily sitting empty on the hope that you could open?
And rent
You know how
it.
dark there were some times for long stretches of time? Like, I mean, for like 10, 12, 13 months being like, I have no idea what the fuck
Most
we're
people
doing.
only have a year.
You know what I mean? Like, I
strict.
look at Brooke, she look at me, and be like, "What are we doing? Like, do we really ride this out? Like, this is insane."
And you
on
guys
so
didn't
many
turn
levels.
the space into a private sex club or anything in the meantime? Like, you didn't do anything like that?
Came close. Who knows? Could have been. Oh, who knows what that space could have turned
Yeah.
into? Now
We
in
did
hindsight.
have conversations though about, oh shit, if we don't win the lottery and this is the only way we can open, do we pay this ginormous fee that's our clause to get out, or do we turn it into a coffee shop or something? Like we had these conversations.
They're just improbable situations, but we chose the situation, right? Like we chose the path. So like as an adult, you're like,
I'd like to see a coffee shop from the two of
We
you.
chose the situation.
we chose it. Like
Or a
we're
consumption
not
lounge.
like
Yeah.
we
Stick
chose
to
to get
it.
into this. We chose to get like we took on all the risk. We knew.
Why do you have such
we
a
knew
good
the
attitude?
we knew the
Well,
consequences.
we knew we
Like,
said when we got into it, we had this big conversation. I think right when it went into lottery mode on our way home to see our parents, and like for the holidays, I think.
'Cause
and we
that
had-
no, it was
must have been
September.
rough.
Yeah.
No, it was
Yes.
September.
Like
'Cause
from
so at this
Heat from
point,
the parents.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the parents were not.
so like we're
always on
in
board.
2019. I think it's like September. I think it's something to do with you at Queens, and we're at a point where it's like, okay, cool. We've just literally paid 8 months worth of rent, 9 months worth of rent. There's no
And
light.
making-
There's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no timelines. There's no
I think
no
we've lost
need
one
for
lottery
anything.
at this point, maybe two.
Yes.
2 lotteries.
You know,
We won't even get it.
truly,
I'm too traumatized. I don't want to get into any of that. But
You're not there anymore. You're safe.
Breathe.
but like we had to make a choice, and like the choice was like, hey, we're either going to go flush a large sum of money down and deal with a lot of therapy bills for the next like 30 years of our life, wondering why we're chicken shit to not like really lay it on the
See
line,
it
or we
through.
get off. So it's kind of like what I've saying like jokingly, but it's like, okay, so we're going to start to run out of space.
Yeah.
We're going ahead full steam,
Yeah.
regardless if we know we're opening up. Like, it's fucking dumb, but I'm like, you know what, we'll figure it out. We'll coffee shops, whatever.
So inspiring.
We've made a decision as an adult. We have the space. We have to find a way to
And-
make this work. We have to pivot. We'll pivot. But like,
We
the
couldn't
thought
have-
of just having and holding it be blank and
Yeah.
never being ready to ever go
Do
just
anything.
never made any sense. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Well, because we also had this feeling the second they said go, it was going to be time to go.
Yeah.
And we were like, we don't want to be behind the ball and them say go and us be 6 months out from opening
Oh
or
my
4
God,
months out
like-
from opening. Like, we were like, we're in it already.
like that's such a good point.
Let's just lean in. Like we're already this invested. If we walk
Yeah.
away now, we're going to regret it for the rest of
Yeah, you
forever.
gotta
See,
see it
see how we
through.
got talked in? Like, this is how
And
we
then,
got talked
like, we
ourselves
literally
into being
had this
like, it
where-
has to be.
where
Like,
we're
you're
like-
watching it right now.
Like, we're literally like, if we're gonna lose some money and we're gonna regroup and we both still have jobs and like let's do it.
Yeah, because like there's no excuse after you like we can't be like, oh my god, we waited 18 months to open, and then the day we could open, we're like, okay, in 6 months we'll be open.
Yeah.
So we
No,
just-
with like the day the application opened, we were coming through the gates.
Yeah.
Like that was our mentality of
Yeah.
like,
So-
this, well, otherwise, what are we doing?
Yeah.
We're just kind of
You
like
guys
spinning, right?
prepared. You used your partnership in a reflection to prepare to endure instead of being a victim when things didn't go your way.
yeah.
But
That's
so
the-
annoying that things didn't go your way.
Well, it
nothing's
definitely was. But again, like Mike said, like we knew we chose, right? Like we chose
There's
to
power
do
in
these
that.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There's
we
power in
couldn't. There was
that.
no one to blame. Like we made the choices, and even though it wasn't like how we ideally wanted it to roll out, we kind of just leaned into the choices.
But it
we
goes
made.
back how we like started the app, right? So it's like like how we came out of the gate was just fueled by time. Like we had nothing but 18 months to try to learn everything about cannabis.
That was our goal, to learn everything
Stigma,
about
construction,
cannabis.
operating, who's who, studying different markets. Like
We wanted to be the
buying
subject matter experts.
a lot of weed and smoking it
Yeah.
and rating it and dealing with you guys. Like, so like hopefully that puts it into like context of like we had this time. We have a choice. We could sit back and be cheap and just like idle time it and then just like wing it when it's time to go,
Or buy
we
a
can
bunch
hit the
of
ground,
weed.
or we can hit the ground running. And
Just
That
like-
was so fun.
It didn't make any sense why we wouldn't run.
You
Yeah.
fucking killed
Right?
it.
We
We like
just
running too.
So yeah, we gotta run.
Relatable,
You're watching
yeah.
us run right now.
Yeah.
What are we running from now, guys? Welcome to therapy
Here we go.
with
There we
1922 and DS. But no, that's fascinating. That is the heart of everything, to kind of stick through it when things aren't going your way. I think that's the special juice in life. Period.
Well, we
that
never-
people want to know.
We never thought, like, I think that's where a misconception in the industry is like, we've never approached this like it was supposed to be easy. Like this
We
is
knew
like,
it was gonna be
cannabis
hard.
is like, this is a new, like in my adult life, I've never seen anything new. Right? Like this
We
is
had
a
that
net new
conversation
industry day
so
one.
many times.
Like there's
That's
like,
a cool way to look at
like
it.
it's
Yeah.
history. Like we are literally
Like,
part
like
of
we're not
history.
going to see the
Yeah.
internet. We're not going to see the creation of this, like that. Like this is the newest thing we're going to see in our generation, and we've got to get on board.
That's
Yeah,
fucking
so like how do we you know, it was like
That's real, you know. That's fucking so real. The
Yeah, it was a
angle
big
that
part
you
of it.
come from it, like, and sustain that way, and like that message.
But
kept
that
you
was our
moving.
intention, like, it like goes back to what I said, like we really understood the problem. So like, how we approach things, the amount of due diligence, how hard we work, how much like we think about it, like it's a lot because I think we understand it. So it's not just like no decisions, just like one like. It would just go into like really deep level thinking about like what is it do we understand and what's the best way to go about it. But like
Serious
What's
mindfulness.
What's
It
a
was
current
just-
problem you're trying to solve?
But you guys blew up on Uber, though. You guys got on the Uber train early.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so exciting.
That's a quick zap, but I did just want to say one more time. I wanted to revisit the, and we will zap into the future, but like that WeedSearch period, man.
Yeah, let's get into that.
So first of all, so here's my perspective of these guys. They're angels. I'm on tour. Winnie's supposed to come meet me. She gets turned away. we're having a tragic, sad interaction.
He's in Jamaica.
And I get
turned away
came back
from going to Jamaica.
I was actually flying from Indonesia. I was in Taiwan, and then I don't know. I was a layover, and then I heard as I got into Jamaica and everything was so stressed out. My friends from the studio, Mike and Brooke, took me out on their boat and made everything okay. Like that day when it was so stressed.
It was rough that day.
She's like, Mike and Brooke saved the day. And I was just like, oh, these guys have my heart immediately.
Yeah.
And then I met them, and it's such great chill. And then I learned their enduring story. And then we hang out, and he's giving me so much weed. I absolutely love these people. But furthermore, the intention and focus of what you guys were doing excited me about weed, even though I've been through it from legacy for time. Freestyling 420 when it used to be a protest, remember? Like in the square. But you guys invigorated my already pretty good desire, burning enthusiasm about cannabis, but to focus on it in another way, as to prioritize it for the market. And with all this weed that you were giving us, it gave me the opportunity to like format it and offer feedback and insight, and because you were collecting it from a group of friends, and the way I broke it down still sticks with me today when I do reviews. It's a 5-point system, right?
Love it too. It created this whole new hobby for us.
It's the high. It's the and now thanks to being in the industry with the podcast and stuff, I've learned about like terps, like more terp language to identify why those areas that like we used to just kind of judge from an eagle eye perspective. Now I've like gone in, but like y'all kickstarted me into being a geek, so I had to give you your flowers for giving me flowers.
I remember getting excited about Tangerine Dream. We just like with San Raf, I'd be like. Right, like, oh! Do you remember how fired up we used to get for the Gage Strawberry Fire OG?
I want that.
That was like classic Gage. That was our shit.
Pre-rolls. Remember how good the OG melons or whatever they were? We loved those.
Yeah, the Kosher Kush, early Ace Valley Kosher Kush.
You ready? Oh yeah, I'm wearing your. You guys did a collab with Ace Valley, didn't you? Fuck yeah! And those are my most worn shorts too.
Yeah, they're everyone's. I threatened jokingly to burn them all because there's a group of boys that only wear just these shorts all the time.
I'm part of it.
They will be so comfortable. They will be falling off them, and they'll still be wearing
it's the uniform.
these
You can't get us.
And it's great.
I wear them year round because in the winter I just wear them as indoor shorts.
Exactly.
They're so good. Oh my god, they're so good.
Oh, I can't remember what I was going to say.
I miss the whole Gage line.
Collab, Miracle Alien Cookies pre-roll 3-pack.
That's early days.
Oh, baby!
We're getting into it right now. Let's go.
Oh my god, the houseplant sativa. It's like early day houseplant sativas.
And then we got to meet Seth.
Yeah, you guys were in the game. You've been on TV, on Calls with Seth. You guys jumped in and fucking made waves right away.
Wow.
Also, I just want to note that all this shit was between like 14 and 22%.
Yeah.
Yo.
All of it.
Back in the day.
All of it.
Yes,
Like 8 to 8.
And it got us ripped.
Yeah.
Thank you, and it still would today.
That was the big part, because like
the THC market.
Because it's
is
like when
for
you
babies.
like when we're approaching these things, like I can observe an expert in Evan, and I can observe a new person, and I can like wear my hat approaching it like a novice, and it became really obvious that like if we better know what the fuck we're doing, right? Like when someone walks in the door, we better be able to understand like what they're saying and how to make sure that we give them the right thing, right?
Yes.
It was always about giving them the right
experience
for
just
the
like,
level.
Honestly, I think it was derived from probably like my sheer anxiety, being like, what the hell am I going to do if I'm behind a counter selling weed? Like I'm
totally,
I don't profess to be like the weed expert or like the weed guy. It's more just approaching like.
I don't think
business.
we said until about a year before we started getting into this. You didn't really ever smoke weed with me. Like you might have a couple tokes on a Saturday, but like you were very like it's gonna affect. Like you were very thought like one way about it, I think.
Well, it was a party drug, recreational.
I approached it like I thought a lot of people in my shoes that would represent the masses of who would like participate in legal cannabis would be probably coming from my perspective. So it'd be like, I can do it, but am I intrigued? Am I motivated? What's going to motivate me? Like, I would just approach it that way. So it was really important to me that I smoked all this different weed because like I didn't know that there was different effects. I didn't know there was different tastes. Like I just treated it like I'll smoke weed with Brooke from God knows what dealer, and Mike just gets anxiety, sleepy, hungry, and just like passes out.
And like again,
that was
maybe-
my only
maybe once a
relation,
week.
right?
Yeah.
It was just like, I'll pass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd rather, like pass. Like, I'm not really, willingly wanting to go do that like 4 times a day, because that was kind of like, you know what I mean? So it's like when I was approaching the legal market, it was like, okay, let's make sure that's not the same thing all the time.
I love
Yeah, for sure.
And you're so right. And the way that you approach it, though, to learn about it is just to try a lot and
Yes.
get excited about it yourself.
But not to cut you off,
No.
but like it was not just that, but it was watching like someone like you get so excited about it. It wasn't just us, but you could see how like people
Watching
getting
you
to
get
interact
excited
with
about
flower and just seeing like people are excited. Like it's not obvious to see the observation of people being really enthusiastic about like like because I'm looking back being like, okay, I get it. Like this is like people are intrigued about this. Like this is a cool thing.
Special.
But like how are we going to describe it and talk about it, and like because now we're opening up all these other doors than just like a one door walk in and get high.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it all just ended up like tying together. But that was important to me. I think like I was annoying about that. Like that was like, we need to know weed. Like this
Well, I
is
think-
like this is
Yeah,
our job.
you're
It's
gonna
my
sell
life.
it, yeah.
I need to know everything about everything, and
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
like the
How
discovery.
crazy is it now?
You're so
I know
quick to
that
pop
this
the
is a-
top on a new pre-roll, buddy.
Yeah.
I hung out at the store so much. I've rocked a couple front shifts when needed, and I've only ever sold weed with excitement.
Yeah.
Like people come in, like you're right. Most people came into the market. I was just hanging out with when she was working. I would just come hang, and this dude walked in one time, and I think he wanted just something simple. Like it was Friday. I think it was a doctor or something, or a nurse, and he was like, yeah, just something for the weekend. He was probably gonna do like a decent like 3.5, and then I was like, I started talking about Broken Coast. I'm like, they're like collector's items. There's only 2 left. It's nuts. If you don't get it, I will. And the guy's like, give me one. Like, and it was like a $200 sale. And I'm like, fuck yeah. You just need to like get
Okay.
psyched about shit, you know?
Sidebar, yeah, Broken Coast is still great now, but like back in the day, you'd open it up and
It
you'd
wa-
be
it was
like,
it.
That was our diamonds.
That was the
back then.
quad.
It would almost
Wow.
pop out of the tin thing that
like
you
the
peel
Frost
back.
Sexy.
Monster
Just
was
like-
nuts.
Like a fucking
The
teenage
Frost Monster
boner.
was
Just
crazy.
like.
That first line of Frost Monster, we got there for like first line
Before they
of Frost
changed the-
Monster, and it was
before they-
absolutely, it looked like diamonds.
It did. It was just
It
like
was-
just crystals.
it was totally
everywhere. It was
insane.
Lead
beautiful.
Do you
grower.
remember doing our first buy?
Yeah.
Sitting
Winnie
around,
was buying.
sitting around the counter in the front room and,
Yeah.
and trying to.
Yeah, so for
decide.
people
Yeah.
who don't know, like, so this is pre us opening, and I'm curious of Winnie's thoughts, but like, so we have to buy, like, your first buy, it's like how you stock the store for when you open, right? So it's like, it's your clean slate, how much you want to spend, where you want to, like, what you want. So that's where the WeedSearch came in. So like, we just didn't smoke weed to smoke weed and watch Evan and Winnie freak out. We're doing it
Choosing-
mindfully to be like,
choosing
how do
inventory.
we start as an operator from
You
day,
weren't?
like at day one, what is our perspective on what the best flower is based on all this research we just did? So it's like, we wanted to come out of the date that
WeedSearch.
there was literally no dusty shit on the shelf. It was only gas, no matter what it was and what the level was. That's where like we took all the research and doing the first buy. And I could remember all of us just sitting around just being like, what the fuck?
Well, how do you know
how
what
many
to
tangerine
buy?
dream do we buy? 72? 72 seems good.
Yeah. How do you even know?
Do we have
what-
any vapes? No, we don't have vapes. Oh shit, what vapes do we buy? Like,
edibles, like everything.
and then
And
it came.
compared to now, there was a tiny menu at the time.
Oh yeah.
There wasn't a lot of
There was a
options.
lot.
Like flour had a lot, but like all other categories.
I think
Yeah, like limited.
I
ones.
think at the time there was like 300 total SKUs to pick from, and I think like we're almost at 3,000 today.
that's what I was gonna ask. Okay,
Yeah,
so
like that's how much
so
more has come to market.
what's going
since then.
on with that? How are you weed searching? Like, it's too many products for you.
I think we've spread the team out of WeedSearch.
Well, now you know. Well,
Yeah.
now you have your breaks and you have reference points.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to try everything, but
Yeah.
as the market expands, you can't always.
Yeah.
And like regionally, you just got to get like comparative. Like
I have a
now you
question.
have your areas, right? You have people coming for value, mids, vape people, edible only people. You almost know based on you. You guys attract regular customers like no one I've ever seen.
And we've had customers the whole time. We've like regular since we've opened.
It's
like,
because you guys are fucking dope. Because it's a hang. Because
I
you
have
feel
a
like you're part of a
question.
cool.
I have a question for you. Okay, sales rep comes in, and
Here's some frisbees. Get the fuck out.
They want their product in your store. What advice could you give to a sales rep
Insight.
as business owners?
Insight.
Good
that
question.
really good
Generally
question.
speaking.
Generally
Speak to the
speaking.
community and industry of how to behave.
Because there's some sales reps that
I
listen
mean,
to this.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, first of all,
What do you want to see? Because I'll probably go a completely different direction.
Yeah,
So
no, you go first.
No, go.
Yeah, no, you go first. Honestly.
To me, it's a 30-second conversation, right? Like, assuming, like, if you're going to ask for me, like, I'm going to need you to be able to have, like, my level of conversation. I'm not going to have, like, your conversation about your single, like, version of what you have
Should
to
they
sell.
be dropping in on you at any
No.
time?
I mean, if it's a 30-second conversation, yeah. Like, so for me, it's
I think
like,
no.
it's like, you know, being blessed to have done this for 3.5 years, like, you kind of know who's who in the zoo. So it's like, and you know the products and you kind of know how things move. So for, like, me, it's more like, what's the so what? Like, why do I need to care? Like, I can read. I have OCS. We get your emails. Like, we have everything going on. It's more just like, just give me the quick call out. So it's like, price drop, $26, $23, one of the best sellers.
Nice.
Conversation
okay.
over.
Thank you.
Noted. Got it.
Divine
Right.
masculine.
Just-
all right.
Mike channels the divine masculine. Give me the
like,
deets.
just get to it. Like what's because that's what I like.
You
how,
gotta-
how we
'Cause
do
you're
the
busy.
conversation.
Yeah.
You got a village
It's not
to
that
run.
we're busy. It's just like I have a lot of problems to solve for in a day, and I don't have like I don't necessarily have 30 minutes just to talk singularly about yours.
Is that
which is
the-
like can you buy my weed?
I
It's
love
like,
that.
Is
like,
that-
we know who you are. Like just give me the highlights. That's for me.
Give me the
Yeah.
weed, first of all. Any rep, you must absolutely lead with product. Don't make it a mystery. How many staff do you have? Here's
Yes.
one for you and all
I
of them.
think that's
Thank you.
okay, that's an important. I think there's two.
Key. Keep
Like,
your fucking
and-
keychains in your. Sorry.
I have an add-on too. Is that how you'd want the sales rep to address your other bud tenders?
No. So like I think there's two things that are
Yeah.
important. Like you're asking to talk to an owner, so you have to be open-minded, having an owner like conversation, right? Like I'm trying to look left to right on every decision we make. I'm not just making a decision on one singular factor. So like when you come and want to talk to Mike, you got to kind of be aware that like we need to have a pretty like broad conversation about how you fit into what we're doing, right? So it's like
So come prepared.
yeah, so come prepared. So yeah,
Absolutely.
okay, let's go through the checklist. So basics 101, right? Come in the store. If you want to have a longer conversation, not to slap hands, please just reach out. Drop me a text, whatever. We can get
Right.
that done. If you want to chat. But yeah, do some research. Don't be lazy. I think that's a whole overarching thing. But this is to be fair to the other reps. They're being tasked with doing 20 store visits a day. It's not about quality, it's just about quantity, and it's a binary task they're trying to go through. So like
I'm gonna
I can
hit you,
appreciate
though.
if reps are in that situation. I apologize for you, but it still doesn't mean you can't, for your A stores and the stores you aspire to want to like get into, you're gonna have to do some work. Do
Yeah.
some research, figure out what we do, figure out not
Not only
like,
what we do, who we are.
it's
and
not
really come
make
in and
friends.
yeah, like
you know,
make friends, but
friends.
it's not a versus thing, right? Like for me, it's like, hey, it's not like I want in, I'm kicking Frost off. It's like, hey, Mike, I think this would complement cool. Like, you know, you could use another Girl Scout cookie. You don't really have that quad. It's a good price point. I think your customers
Yes,
would like it.
that's
I'm
what
like,
I'm saying.
Yes, now you have
Yes,
Brooke and I, because that's
absolutely.
the problem we're trying to solve for is delighting the customer.
Yeah.
Right.
And they do carry that frost, which is fucking fire, which we smoke now. Anyone
But for
knows.
reps though, for the team, yeah, product knowledge, of course. Like
Fuck.
do whatever it's gonna take to make them feel comfortable, and please, like if there's dollars to be spent, like take care of them. Because like I don't think people understand or appreciate how much money, not that it's a thing, but it's like we sacrifice a lot to provide for the team because it's important to us that we know what we're doing and we're talking, and that comes at a great expense. So like if there are opportunities and ways to take care of the team, so it's not Brooke and I funding that,
Yeah.
or even through if we have your SKU on the menu, like buy 3, buy 2, just for
Product,
the community, just for
samples.
everything.
Yeah, buy
Like,
your
take-
own
You're right.
product.
There's
There's
no more-
a lot of just like wasted funds on like just promotional merch that we don't need. Like we get boxes of things and I'll have moments where I'm like, I can't believe the money was spent on this, versus just coming in and being like, hey, we know you WeedSearch. Here's,
that goes a long way.
A couple of things
100%.
For us, like take care of the team. That will always go along with Brooke and I. Like that's what we respect and
Again,
appreciate.
how do you sell it unless you know?
Yeah.
You took the overhead of yourself, but now like to start to know, that's how important it is. So if you believe in the product, you got to come with the product.
Well, it all ties into the WeedSearch. Like this is like if you know who we are, like we've been doing this for a minute. Like so it's I can appreciate how disruptive we are to other people trying to come in, because we're probably so the opposite of how any other conversation probably ever does. So like I realize like I'm just like sounding like a psycho 90% of the time reps come in, because it's probably not the conversation they've been having, will be having. And it depends where I'm at in the day. Like
That's fair
right?
too.
I could be, cool, calm, and collected, Mike. I could be spun and just like, we could just come in at a bad time and have a conversation. And it's like, okay. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to shit on them either.
Well, I just remember
right? Like if everyone's trying to do a good job, I just think producers and companies and like all these guys just have to get their shit together. Like you have to understand like if you're hiring a sales team to be sales enablement, like what is their purpose? Are you setting them up for success? Like are you understand? Because really when you look at reps, like the customer is Brooke and I. Like we own the literal customer. Like that's our relationship. But like their customer is the operator. It's us. So it's hard when they're not. You don't see them being set up for success at all. Like it's just like, what was the purpose of coming to 1922 today? Can you tell me?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I really wanted to tell them about this, and when I dropped off some samples for that, I think like you'd be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Why you spent time there, because we think there's contribution and influence to helping us sell more weed and getting more influence in cannabis because of that store visit.
Yeah.
It's more just like go to 20, and I feel for them.
Yeah.
Right? Like
They're definitely,
because we can see like for Brooke and I, like man, like shout out to all the reps out there, like seriously, like we can see some of them and like fuck, there's like you almost want to hug them. Like they look like there's tears behind their eyes because they've been in situations prior to coming where it's like I'll give you a hug. Like I'm not gonna beat you up. I'm not gonna yell at you. Like I'm not. Give me data collection. Give me this, or like these horror stories that they end up saying all the time. So
I've been in some like the bigger corporate stores, like what were we at, like Canna or something like that, and like a rep came in and the dude was like, no, like get out, like they're like no.
Oh yeah, I
like,
remember you telling me this story.
And I was like, damn, like that's cold, like so it's like they're probably coming from someone that's like, just literally yelled at them.
You saw that happen.
I think we just get we get lost. Like this is like for most people in cannabis, man, this is like 2.5 years into like something that's going to be in 100 years we'll evaluate as something like we keep forgetting how early, like this is the earliest days into a new thing, like when no one's got anything really figured out. Like I know the one thing I do love about cannabis is I know like even though people aren't structured right or probably in the right roles or in the right places to like have the best good, but like they show up every day enthusiastic and wanting to, and for some days I'm like, I don't know why the fuck you would. Right. Like you just like but you keep coming back, and I respect that. So it's like come in the store, cool. I always got respect because I respect how much shit you've been going through to even have this job and want this job. Yeah. Right.
Well, that's like, you. That's you. That's you seeing your own reflection of your own values. That's beautiful.
Right. Like so you can see both sides of it, but like I hopefully in the next like year or two these things are like things are gonna get a little more figured out.
More fun. Have a little more loose.
And every conversation's just funner, looser, like not so like competitive or angsty or just like almost dying. Yeah. Like a survival mode, sort of like you can feel the angst, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's unnecessary to have that much tension.
Yeah, I wonder what retail stores look like in the future, because it feels very like
lounges. I want to smell weed. I want to smell weed. Don't you want to smell weed?
Also, I think there's probably more room for collaboration between stores. Every store feels too on its own. Like it's very like there's no community within the store community itself. Do you feel that, or am I off on that?
No, I definitely feel
that.
But
like we don't really talk because we don't contribute. So it's like.
Ooh, what do you mean by
like
that?
we're also a part of the problem, right? Like we're not actively also going out.
Yeah,
and trying to,
I just wonder what that looks like.
Yeah,
like
it looks like the dank craft party that you guys were at. You were at. Were you that? You were there too.
So Dan Craft, so like LPs, when the community takes responsibility to create those sort of moments is when it happens. Like we have our live show, Discipline Stoners Live. Come to the next one, where she does stand up and I do my live set. And a lot of people come, you know, from the community at events like that. We've been to Got Loud's party. Like there are ways to like network and stuff, but yeah, you're right. Often retailers definitely get sorted into the business category as though the industry doesn't play a role in the culture when it does. Mm-hmm. It's like how you get your products.
It's just like, honestly, like Brooke and I are just so focused on us.
Yeah,
and like what
which
we
is
want
great.
to accomplish, and it's not right. Like I think we both carry guilt for it. Like it's something that like lands with me. It's not like it.
We
it's
know
just,
that as as
oh yeah.
Like,
I'm not saying you should be at every
we've
event. No way.
sacrificed.
No, but like we yearn to be, but it's like I have to be like if I have like 3% of
You're
my being
managing.
left, I owe it to Brooke, I owe it to the store, I owe it to our customers, I owe it to
And
like,
just the
when
rollout,
you look
man,
at it
like-
capacity, it's like I just don't have time. But like I want us to get to that place.
I do too.
Right? Like
I think there's more collaborative success to be had.
Like shout out to Paul at Minerva and like you know some of the guys that were on with Uber. Like it's given us a reason to come together and talk.
Yeah.
Can you
and
tell? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you made a great jump into Uber early.
Yeah.
And so, can we talk a little bit about opening the store, hiring Winnie, you had some staff members as well. You gave us a
We had a
stand-up
team.
ashtray.
We had a team, man.
And-
Did we had a
Oh my
full-blown
God.
team.
And then you guys took
Yeah.
it. You took the reins yourself after about a year, I think, and it was just. Can we talk about that arc and where you are now and the team you've built now, like just what you've kind of done with the store to catch people up to now?
So I think well, we renovated the store and we didn't know when we were going to open. But we also had met Wynn and a couple of people in the neighborhood that we just fell in love with, like honestly. So we built this team, you know, it's true.
It's beautiful.
Like
Yeah.
we just
No,
we,
but hold on. Let's gush on Winnie for a second. So Brooke and I are like, we're gonna open a store where every person we're looking at is like, are they good enough
Yeah.
to work for this company and propel this company to what we
Yeah.
want to aspire to be? And we walk into this yoga studio. It's intimidating as fuck. There's things everywhere, and I'm watching this like person just like orchestrate.
Yeah, like
40 people
grown
in, 40
people.
people out.
Yeah.
Everyone is
Yeah.
seen. Everyone is heard.
Remembered something
the guy
about
yapping off is too
everyone.
long, and this like she's just got this fucking command of like all these alpha male and all these alpha female and this high strung, high like, and it's just like Brooke and I just like looked at each other. And I think we like laid on the mat. And we're
I think
like,
we were laying on the mats and we
like,
kind
we
of
have
looked
to
at
work
each
with
other.
her.
We're like, we
have to work with her because like that's how we were envisioning if you came into the space like that was
We
important
would
to us.
want you to-
That's how someone would feel.
I love that,
Seeing,
bro.
you know what I mean? Like it takes a very special person to see that. So like we were going through even before we opened, and we were just like, yeah, Winnie. That like not in like a premeditated way, but it was always like on top of our brain, being like, if this ever
If
worked
this,
out,
yeah,
that's a
we would ask
conversation we
Winnie.
wanna
Like
have.
Winnie's at the top of our,
Yeah, because that's how important we
Thank
thought it
you.
was day one of opening the
true.
store.
It was a life-changing experience for me, man. You guys gave me an opportunity that I never in my mind I would have imagined that I could have had, just based on my experience and like schooling and stuff, you know, like, and I use the skills I learned with you guys now today to be
It's beautiful.
successful.
Yeah.
And you literally changed my life because I was still in this weird position where I wasn't being a leader. I was working towards, you're so cute. I was working towards someone else's dreams and like backburning my own, and like without transitioning and like having this new role to step in. I honestly don't know where this podcast would be. I don't know where I would be as a human being. Like you jump started my villain era. Where I created boundaries for myself, and like I stopped being I got rid of the shame around cannabis. You were the first.
True.
That's so
You know,
true. So that
Brooke was the
yeah.
first functioning female I had ever met in my life. That like I was like, this bitch smokes. Like, we'd smoke together, the three of us, and I'd have to tap out every time, these two back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They can smoke each other out, dude. So, like, it was really, and I really love where I'm at now.
Because of the opportunity they gave you, you could present a future with weed to her family as well.
Yeah.
She really came out of the stoner closet because of the opportunity with you guys.
It's beautiful.
Like, that was
so
huge. You played a huge
huge.
role.
But
Yeah.
it's also
Huge
clear as
role.
day that like Winnie has a lot of like she's an incredible person and like has all these beautiful things to her, and it's just like what's gonna be the thing to like let her unleash that, and it's like
so
you know, you
much-
can
yeah.
see, you can clearly see when people have potential and just like have something. Like it's not like Brooke and I are in the
So
business of eyeing people that way. I hope that's not a weird fucking comment.
No, we
that's
get it.
down. That's now the business we're in. It was clear as day. Like Wynn had it, and it's just like,
Thanks,
is
guys.
cannabis a good place to unleash this for her and for like things she's chasing and things I know she brings to the table. Brooke and I know, like, because it goes back to day one. Like, what's happening when people walk into a store? They feel like sketchy, shitty. Am I doing this? And there's
Yeah.
fucking Winnie just smiling at you. Like how calming, zen. Like that was so important
was-
to Brooke
oh
and
my
I, because
God,
that's
so
like, because you got to
important.
remember, like we're breaking the shit down. Like if anyone listening to this right now, just like if I say this, just like pause and really fucking think about it. But it's like, what would you want your first cannabis experience to be? And just let that pause. Like, can you name it? Can you think about it? Like, and I tell you one thing, when done right, you fucking remember it for the rest of your life. Yeah. Just like anyone can tell you, remember that time we smoked that weed in fucking 9th grade?
Yep.
Like, these are the sorts of moments we knew we were going to cross with people. So, like, it was clear the Win had the fucking chops to be able to go make that happen for people. And
Yeah.
goddamn, did you ever. Like, you remember how fucking crazy it was when we first opened?
Yep.
Like, how busy we were? It's just like,
On point.
oh my
and the constant
God,
learning.
like,
Yeah.
and new people that like are being introduced to cannabis and like wins the front line majority of this, like helping people through, like you probably don't even realize how much you've probably impacted other people's first experiences
sure.
with cannabis, because we wouldn't, because we're in it, right?
People
But,
still
like,
ask about you all the time. How
all
you're
the
doing, what
time.
you're
Where's
doing.
Winnie? How's Winnie?
So good. Yeah, there
It was
was a
a fan.
community there for sure. Fuck.
It was beautiful.
I loved my
It is.
boomer ladies.
Yeah.
I love the boomer ladies that
We
came in.
love
I'm
them.
like, fuck,
Yeah.
you are my hero.
You guys also got some characters thanks to the neighborhood.
Oh God, so entertaining.
Like
all
some-
the time.
Neighborhood just is
Like,
characters.
I think I'm writing a sitcom in my head on the back burner solely based on your shop.
There's multiple days that like Brooke and I look at each other and I'm like, is this
Like,
what the hell is going on right now in this space with these people?
Yeah.
Things that are happening. Some days I just look.
are so kind though to people, the less fortunate as well in the area. Like the opportunities and kindness and time and attention that you extend to people who I think are probably written off by society a lot of the time.
Yeah,
I've even had
people
prejudgments
won't
and then-
even acknowledge
Yeah,
them.
I've
like
had
someone
preju-
will ask a question and they will get ignored. I can't imagine what that
not
feels
being seen.
like.
Yeah.
And then you guys, someone who you would skip over, you're like, "Oh, hey, John," and he's like, "Hey, guys," and like just
And
make
even
people
if
feel
you're saying
seen.
no or moving them in a situation, like getting them to a safer place for all parties involved, you look them in the eyes.
You're an
and
aim-
you have there's communication there, you know? And I think that probably even means a lot.
Yeah, you're
It's
contributing to
something
a lot of
learned.
people's
It
lives.
just, I think living in that neighborhood for as long as we have, I think that I don't.
Yeah, 'cause
Probably
we've been
part
there,
of
like,
that's like part of my
13,
upbringing
14
and just
years.
like being around people to like always treat people that way.
What do you mean your upbringing? What was your upbringing? Where'd you grow up?
Well, I was born in Toronto, but like predominantly in Brockville, like a smaller, like kind of white middle class town. Brockville. And you could like I was around like all sorts of social styles. I was sailing, so you see this like opulent other side of things, but you'd be around people that were like, no matter what they were in life, they would just treat them with respect, look them in the eye, like no bullshit.
Beautiful.
And that always landed with me as like a young person, like being into it. So like, hey, if you treat the guy like, because it's very easy to just get ego and just like treat everyone like a peasant. Because these people I'm around, they are those, like, they're the 1%ers. Like, they could do whatever the fuck they want whenever they want, and they would approach it with kindness. So I think I always kind of mirrored that and took that on. But living in the neighborhood,
I'm glad to hear
I learned
that.
it, and then it's Brooke too, because like Brooks just approaches everything with nurturing and so kind. Like, may not be my first reaction. I learned that from her, but like, you
so
kind of paired the two together. But we gotta. I'll shut up because I've been talking a lot. But we gotta shout out Obi too. Because
Obi!
we
That's
gotta
what I
shout
was
out
thinking.
Obi.
I was gonna say I think that's a lot where we learned it, because I think when we first opened and we were supposed to, or thought we were supposed to have some type of security. The first time we ever saw Obi deal with anyone, the first thing he led with was like, "Are you okay,
Well-
man? Can I get you anything?"
Well, it goes back to the whole thing, right? Like, get a security guard. My husband's like, you're going to Moss Park weed store. Like, you could just imagine. And then they're like, hey, I got this perfect guy for you. And I'm like, perfp, bring him in.
Always the man.
And then you see Obi,
dude.
you know, just, you know, you just,
He's the
you
best.
just,
He's
it's
so
like,
sweet.
he just like
Laid
saunters
back,
in,
6'4".
calm,
Is he about 6'4"?
athlete, not
Handsome.
scared, handsome
Yeah.
as all
So
shit.
kind.
Sweetheart.
I remember when my mom
Yeah.
met him, like later, she was, he's quite handsome.
But like, I could remember
Sweet
like,
guy.
Obi.
you know, we'd have, because you just didn't have we have the confidence now, but like back then you didn't really have it. You're almost scared. Like we've been doing this for 3.5 years, so it's so many reps of dealing with things so repetitiously that it becomes easier. But like in the early days, my first reaction, I'd come out with fucking just, and then Obi just been, you good? How are you? You know,
Can't get you
he would
anything.
approach it similarly to my values of dealing with people, but like I'd let my first judgment jump in the way and just get all hot and bothered, escalate, not de-escalate. And I'd watch Obi just come in and just like totally de-escalate everything.
I
And he's
know.
gonna be
Just
a
from
cop
anyone
now.
on. No, but like this is where like Brooke and I think we owe a lot of this to him. Like he'd check in on people. Yo, you good? You need some water? Come in. It's like, yo, you got a bottle of water? I'm like, yeah, Obi, what do you need water for? It's a guy on the street. What the fuck, guy on the street? Like, what are you talking about? And then, like,
This is
Obi's
so
looking out for
true.
people on the
Yeah.
street.
Yeah.
Like, he like
So
needs water. It's hot.
empathetically
It's 40 degrees.
So true.
So like we like a lot of that baseline of like how to handle situations, know how to de-escalate them, just be kind. We're from Kobe.
Oh.
I said Kobe there. Instead
Yeah.
of Obi, but like no, but it's true. But like
Kobe
it's a
spirit
character.
moving through
Like
Obi.
honestly, it's our the people at the day-to-day store and the people around outside. It's just madness for anyone that doesn't know. It's just chaos.
Yeah,
like,
it is, yeah.
24/7.
There's a-
Most days I have no idea literally what the fuck is going on.
You've
Just
blended.
like, just like.
So you are on the move though. So huge shout
Okay.
out to Obi, sweetheart.
Okay, we're good.
But
Can
yeah,
I pee?
yeah.
Am I gonna
run
kill
it.
a flow?
No,
No,
go ahead.
Okay,
No,
so
you're
no.
good. Brooke's
well,
there.
yeah.
Um,
Move it over to you. Okay, so I don't know how much more in the history you want to dive into.
I mean, we're basically I just wanted to drive people through. They kept the store open for a year and a half, then opened. I remember your opening day,
And then COVID hit.
and then COVID hit.
Yeah, and then we closed, and then oh my goodness, yeah, we closed.
and
but-
then we became essential.
yeah, then
or
we
like-
became essential.
Yeah.
After they decided, so we could do like pickup. Remember, people
Yes.
can come in the store.
Fuck, I enjoyed
the door,
those days.
The door was literally locked, and you would have to like someone would come and knock on the door, and you would bring their package to them.
So not quite your vision.
Yeah, no,
not quite the initial.
You had your
vision.
storefront for how long before COVID? 6 months?
We opened in.
No, COVID had already started, but it was summer, so things were chill.
Yeah, like COVID kind of happened in March. We opened in June, but then lockdown happened. I think that's what
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it was like we were in COVID, but then lockdown happened and we had to close. I think we had to close temporarily a handful of times because of COVID.
Yeah.
Over like about a year or so.
So you did pickup mainly, and deliveries.
So we hadn't. When did we
I
start?
remember Obi would do
deliveries?
some deliveries.
Yeah, there was a couple.
You
of,
did a little bit.
Yeah, there was definitely Obi was driving like 2 or 3
Oh
deliveries.
yeah, because Dutchie would be delivered.
Deliveries,
Dutchie.
right?
One of the
But it was-
lockdowns is like you can do delivery.
Yeah, one of the
Yeah.
So it's
lockdowns
like we checked
created the
box.
delivery.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
do
Yeah.
delivery, but it wasn't really doing delivery.
Yeah.
It was
But it
like,
slowed down a bit. It slowed down overall.
Yeah.
Well,
lockdowns,
for a bit,
everything.
Yeah.
for a bit during lockdowns,
Like,
it got busy.
It got
'Cause
really
Peeps
busy.
needed some weed.
Yeah.
I
At
think
the
it
beginning of
went in
lockdowns.
phases. Yeah, like it went like because then people get like restless and I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of phases. Like
It's
we,
been, I'm trying
I
to
can
think
remember
about what
I
happened.
can remember pre-opening. Like we owned an online store. It was
Yeah.
lockout. Like there were like you owned an online business, and we had prepared to own a brick and mortar retail store. Like
Yeah,
it's
we had just
1972 Sears.
Yeah.
Like, and you
we
put
don't have
so much into
SEO,
it.
we don't have SEM, we don't have a fucking website. Like a digital menu board was like a fantasy, like
I
that, like
remember.
maybe a thing that may happen. Like this is how early days all these things were.
Shout out opening day though.
Oh,
That day was the best.
That was such a good.
That
day.
was
It
a
such
good
a good
day.
turnout. That was probably
It
the
was
best day
hot.
we'd ever had.
it was. Yannick was there. Fat Sign was there.
Yeah, people were coming through. I was having so much
Every
fun
CBD drink.
at the tills.
Yeah, we had 2 tills going all day. That was probably the busiest day we've ever
Man,
had.
It was intense.
Yeah, it was
Families
awesome.
there, yeah.
Well, I can remember like my parents are there, everything, and like Brooke and I looked at each other like, "Fuck, we don't float." So
Like,
poor
there's-
Brooke, like we're trying to like open, and Brooke's just like
Oh my
with my
God.
parents, like we're so just like, oh my God, overwhelmed by everything, and she just like go to the bank. I'm like, she's like, I got it. I'm like, oh my God, and like we hadn't even we couldn't even practice. Remember
We
doing
didn't
that
even know how
sale.
to use
We didn't even know how to.
Remember? We
Because we
like,
couldn't do a
yeah.
sale
on the
pre-opening.
fly that
Because you gotta remember, we were
day.
this. To anyone listening, like it's not like it is now. Like at the start, like everything was fucking. Like there was no foolery with the ADCO.
Oh, yeah.
There was no like. I feel things have gotten a little like let's call a little slicker or more refined, if you will, tactfully. But like we took everyone's first punch when we opened. And I can remember literally in front of a customer in real time trying to follow the flows, being like, I have no idea what comes next because we could never do a transaction.
And like you, like to be honest, like you've never used like a Moneris or like a debit machine in your
No.
life, like never used a PO, like a.
And you guys have
You
the
two figured it out.
POS.
There was you and Winnie. You were like, okay,
System.
this is how we open. We
I
do
Like,
remember
we worked in
they're
restaurants,
blazing.
right? So like I
Yeah.
think we
You
were
two
we at
had
least
it.
knew kind of the gist.
It was so
of it.
fun.
It was-
Shout out that day.
Yeah.
Love that day.
And the door used to lock to get in the back, and you had those
Little
things, the
fobs,
little.
yeah.
God,
Or-
everything
or
was
the-
so structural and like.
Remember the
security
little
and-
things you built in the wall,
Yeah.
and one person would
The
be in the
pass-throughs,
back,
yeah.
and they take an order, and you'd like sort a bag and put it in there in the wall and close the door, and you could
Oh
only
my
open the other side from
Yeah.
that door.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like a 1940s burger chain. It was like the year 1922. Come in for your weed.
Well, I can remember a period where you two are working the front, I'm working the back, and I think like someone was in the basement bringing shit
Serving-
up
yeah.
just because like.
yeah,
so
it
guys were
was
just
a
going at
crazy
it.
day.
We sold so much weed that day.
Yeah,
I remember.
so
And we were
much.
just firing.
It was so fun.
And it's easy to sell when it's busy like that, and it's more exciting because when there's demand behind you, they feel pressure to make a choice, and you can play with that.
Ooh, yeah.
I love selling in hot fire situations like that, and that's wild for some people, but I like it.
It's like it was a. I don't know how you feel about it, but it's like that was like a blessing and a curse altogether because it's like
Totally.
you had too much success too fast
Yeah.
too early without deserving it.
Yeah.
Well,
Right, like, it's
no,
like-
you deserved
You were
it.
just like,
I mean,
oh,
well, maybe we'll
fuck,
back up
look
this,
at
but
this.
like it's kind of like you like
I think there's one
it set an unrealistic expectation of what
this was
I
gonna
agree.
be.
this was
Yeah,
gonna be.
yeah,
really,
yeah.
really like is it.
Well, because remember the second
Man.
day.
Like we could go like, so story time, quick story. So like we're doing this, we're open, we're going, and like there's so many people coming in the fucking doors that like the we can't like there's not enough money to possibly keep up with the people coming through the door. So like I'm sitting there one day looking at Brooke freaking the fuck out, being like, I don't like the shelves are gonna go empty. Like I don't know what the hell to do. And literally we get a customer of ours comes in the store, buys weeds, like, hey, hook me up with the owners. We like meet him, go to Betty's, have a picture of beer, literally sends us $100K. We do the wire work later, throw it right at inventory, and the thing just keeps fucking moving. But like mid-flight of all of this stuff, we're like doing a side wink deal at Betty's, the local dive bar, for $100,000 to basically throw right back into inventory to keep the thing fucking moving.
Holy fuck!
So I thought that was worthy of a little story.
That's
Yeah, that's a
amazing.
great
That's
ass story.
It's like it's the broad strokes of it all, but like
Holy
it's like,
fuck.
yeah.
lifestyle, and it's in this beautiful. It would be in a montage with like a really cool 80s synth song over it. Like it's like the stores go in and like you're taking these deals and it's like, and then. What was like being on TV? You talked about the market. You've positioned yourself from the thorough research you've done on the industry. You position yourself as an expert already.
Like you're already consultant level tuned in to like the waves, and then also at an operator ground level with a overviewing perspective of the market.
Yeah, that's been interesting because like there's a little bit of like being it, and there's a little bit of telling people you are it.
Sure.
And it's just like, okay, but yeah, no, yeah, it's been very overwhelming. I don't know where it came from. I get on these ideas, or I fixate them. Brooke can probably attest. Like I can remember at a time I'm just like, again, we're waiting to open. We go to Betty's, our local dive bar. Shout out Betty's, and the Globe and Mail's behind. So like all the beat reporters would always be chilling, drinking beers, being degenerates, talking their shit, and like I'd
Love
be like,
that.
hey,
For the atmosphere.
how do
Love
I
that.
how do I
Spider-Man comic.
I would get to like talk to these guys and like start to meet them and like be like, tell me about your background. I'm like, okay, we're aspiring to trying to get in cannabis. We went to like I went alone to like actually the Globe and Mail, the head office, like every fucking CEO and Deloitte, and we're not even real business, not even open yet. So I got to meet some of these B guys there, and they're like, man, you got to write your story. So like, Brooke, that's it, we're writing our story. And Brooke's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, Brooke, story now. Like, we need to write our story. Like,
I need
get
a writer.
fixated on it.
You're a writer.
And no, we wrote it, and then we wrote it like academically. We wrote it like a million different ways, and then Olivia and Isaac from
Bless.
the studio,
Yeah.
who's a
Shout
production
out.
writer.
Olivia.
Yeah.
She is an angel.
You out here
Shout
saying
out all
full
those.
names, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll cut that out.
Okay, we can beep it.
Chop that.
Why is there? Why? Why can't you say names?
I just don't think that's cool to say our friends' names publicly.
All right.
Sorry.
But so Isaac's like, give me this thing, and he's just like literally wrote this story that was like kind of chronologically, densely fucking boohoo written, sort of like theatrical way of writing a piece, and he like wrote it like a story piece, like he foreshadowed what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then like we got all excited about it, and then I went back to the guys at the Globe and we're like, hey, I'm going to pitch you the story and I want you to print it, because like you don't have to do any work, I wrote it for you. Like,
Holy shit.
Wow.
because you kind of like hang around these guys to kind of get a feel for how they work and how they tick, right? Like a lot of the news is just like you serve it up and they just put it on, like it's earned, you put it in front of them. So like I kind of learned that hustle from watching them at Betty's. So like we wrote this thing,
Cool.
we put it in. This is even fucking wilder. That's why I'm bringing it up. Is because we got our story published on the Globe and Mail Report on Business, and then I could remember it was like on a Saturday, and I remember it's like a Wednesday or Thursday, and we were fucking coming here for dinner or like a hang or something.
Yeah.
And I literally had like an anxiety dirt nap because I'm just like, oh my God, what the fuck are we doing? And I can remember napping prior to coming over here. My phone was ringing. What the fuck, private number? And I pick it up and they're like, hey, Mike, it's so-and-so from the Globe. I'm like, yo, what's up? And he's like, hey, didn't hear it from me. Lottery's getting dropped. Free market rules are coming back in on Monday. This is why we published your piece on this Sunday. We wanted to foreshadow on the business because we knew it was going to hit on Wednesday. Buckle the fuck up. You're going to go. And I can remember literally I woke up from my dirt nap. We were coming here that day when we had dinner and everything. And Brooke and I came over here. That was like the day that all the dots connected. I don't think you guys knew it in the moment though, that like we're going to be able to open.
Yeah, we were probably keeping it close to our chest just because like so many things had gone.
So we
pear-shaped.
took that experience,
There was a vibe.
and then I think BNN saw the story on the Globe, and they're like quirky white guy, cannabis. So I think I'm in some like executive meeting,
Well-spoken.
leading this meeting, like it's my meeting, like having to be like on fucking point, and like there's like big board meeting sort of meeting. And then my phone again starts just like ringing, private number. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, so I pick it up again. It's like, hey, so-and-so from B&M Bloomberg, if you can be here in like an hour and a half, we'll put you on live TV to cover like basically the free market rules. I'm like, what? And they're like, we saw your story on the Globe. I'm like, huh? Like, what do you mean? Like, they're like, be here in an hour and a half for live TV. I'm like, huh?
That would make
What?
me so
Like,
uncomfortable.
so I like called Brooke. So I'm like, should we like do this? And Brooke's like, I'm not doing it. I'm like, okay. Granted, I wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah,
either.
of course,
Like, if I could send you in, I
That's
gladly
more
would
your,
into that.
like, the
No,
language.
that's your strength.
Yeah, so basically
You know,
that's how we ended up getting there. It's just like bullshitting on this like hustles. And like next thing you know, like I remember walking in and I'm just like, I have no idea what's going on. And being on a set's real, like you guys who know being actors in your background for the average person, like even being here, they have lights on you, like it's completely alien. Next thing you know, it's like this guy's like, hey man, you doing good? 5, 4. You're like, and they're like, look this way in this camera. You're like, what the and then like all I remember is the guy talking to me, and I had a very succinct moment where I'm like, I'm either gonna faint or I'm gonna stick the landing, and it was like, my voice went high, like you get nervous. I just remember, and then literally I'm just like, okay, I think, someone else took the wheel, and like someone else told for like the last 8 minutes. I like blacked out, like literally almost probably through like sheer anxiety. Is like my representative did the talking. But
You
yeah,
were
no,
so
be able to leverage it.
good.
Yeah, I think so.
No,
Did
dude, you
such
a-
snapped,
you were-
you snapped right into flow.
I've only watched the interview once. I don't.
Yeah, that's
Good.
fair.
And you looked great
Yeah,
in demo.
I have
It was. Yeah, there's
I get
there's so
that.
many little intense things, but they're just like they could just come out of hustle. Like it just. If I just think it's the thing to do, it's just like we just end up talking about it, and it's generally for a reason. But it's just been fucking luck.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason for me just to be like, we're writing our story. Like that was
Yeah.
just a crazy thought out idea, but I'm like, no, we need to get our brand and us in front of the people. Like we need to like represent the industry. Like there's a lane here that someone should be occupying. Why not us?
Yeah.
And we're not even a company. We haven't even recognized $1 of revenue. Like let's be completely honest to everyone. Like I have no fucking business being on TV. I have no business representing the industry. I have no
But
we
you
don't have the
showed up.
credentials. We don't have the revenue. We don't have the size. We don't have the scale. But it's more just to anyone out there knowing that like you can hustle your way and do like anything I've done. Anyone listening can do. Like I'm not doing, and Brooke and I are not doing anything other than just being like, hey, BNN, 5th year of cannabis legalization.
Hi.
Do you need someone to talk on TV? Like obviously
Yeah.
we pitched them a couple narrative ideas, but like we did that and went to basically 10 or 20 outlets, and
Nice.
it just, they're like, yeah, great, come on. Like it's like
So
you kind of
good.
create your own path on some of the stuff. But like,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible insight.
yeah, of like how it happens is not just kind of, it is random and it's lucky, but like
That's so
it could be anyone
inspiring.
else.
Also taking the opportunity,
You stay on it, man. So as of recently, you've been fucking ripping on the bike. You're knees deep in this. Still moving.
Not where we thought we were going. Let's just put it.
Like the
It's
total
been such a
opposite
trip. Like I
direction.
swear to God, like we've owned a retail store, we've owned like an online store, we've owned like now it's almost feeling like
Delivery.
we're like a retail / delivery
Yeah.
/ turning into a technologies company. Like it's just the way
Okay.
this thing's evolving and growing and
Yeah.
growing. It's been.
Okay, so this is, and you've just had to roll with the punches, and like, kudos to your resilience.
Yeah,
both of you.
man, that's the thing.
Kudos. But I want to jump to Dreamland for a second and ask you, like, I don't know if there were some restrictions that were changed, or if OCS did things differently. Like, just imagine you're not as handcuffed as you are right now. What would be a place in your business that you would focus on with, say, less restrictions of your choice? Like, what would be an ideal environment for you to thrive as a retail store?
That's a good question. I think at the end of the day, we don't know if having a retail storefront is
Into there.
Yeah.
Get into there.
is like what the end game is. I don't think.
Yeah, it's changing because it's gone like it's phases, it's stages. Like, you open a store and it was like get to 5 and then get to 10 and then get to 20, and then it's like you haven't even really proved there's demand for store 1 yet before you're
It was like
Right.
a
raising money
right.
and you're
Okay.
getting into
There was a
you're
lane
getting
for
into
us
business
for
relationships
stores.
that come
Yeah.
with different consequences and different objectives and different like slanting you different ways. And I think like it's evolving in a beautiful way, but it's not. I think there's a lot that's in the midst of changing right now, and I think it's kind of like a beautiful thing. Like,
So when you
and I-
say, sorry, just to to zone in on one part that is slanting you different ways, like trying to scale so quickly doesn't necessarily help the value or the quality that you're
No.
contributing from your retail experience.
No.
Like you really want to like write a hit from the heart before you produce a pop
Yeah.
song at mass scale, or like consider that sort of
Yeah,
franchising or anything.
And I mean, to each their own. Like anyone that's in our position has to face that choice.
And I
Like,
think
do you
there
want
was-
to take money from people that have a very specific objective and desire from that money and want to hold you accountable for that, or do you want to I mean, like, Brooke and I are a pain in the ass. Like, we get celebrated a lot, but, like, we're fucking difficult to deal with. Like, we're very specific. We kind of know exactly what it is we want.
Clear.
We're marching towards whatever that is. So,
Love that, man.
Congratulations. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I forgot what I was saying.
Well, yeah, no, that kind of answers the question of that. It's interesting to think about what retail looks like in the future.
I think it's community. I think so. Like,
yes.
Here's the thing. Like, so we go through all these phases. We have, big teams, and then you realize, like, okay, is retail a thing? Is delivery going to be? Because there was two big bets coming. Like, there's one of two things were going to happen. You were either going to survive in cannabis retail by having a lot of stores, or eventually technology and the Ubers and DoorDashes and Skip to Dishes and some technology would come in and enable basically cannabis to come to them. Like, there was going to be a big shift happening one way or another. So, like, in the moments of, like, the last 3 years, there's been all of these choices of being like, do we want to create the best retail experience known to mankind and forge the money, the strategy, the design, the intention? But ultimately, if customers aren't coming to the stores anymore and that's not the preferred consuming method, it's kind of like, it's really changed it, to your point. So it's like, out of a singular store, how can you do more with less? Like, how can you represent the brand and represent, but you don't physically have to cater to all of the people basically that are around through all those other stores? So it's been an interesting time to see how our peers have handled that, because it's hard, right? Because like you emotionally put so much into a store, in a space, and it's like, fuck, delivery's turning into a preferred channel, and that just means more people are experiencing our brand, but it's not through the physical presence of all the energy
you've put so much of
into
yourself
a physical
in it.
space that
like
it takes to. I think it's really it's an interesting time and a challenging time for.
You had a plant wall in the beginning.
Yeah, still do.
Still do.
I don't know if that answers the question or not, but
yeah, I think it does. I think that you're not really. I think you're
everything's
right.
so moving. It's hard to make decisions. Everything is just in flux all the time, right?
Basically, the opportunity of experiencing something new when you first started the business is continuously getting thrown at you.
Oh, gosh.
You're like, new.
Yeah.
No, man, you saw it firsthand. Like, it's like there's nothing that can prepare you for those things.
Yeah.
You're just like, what the hell is coming at me?
But you have so many skills now. Like, I feel like I have so many good skills from my time at 1922, especially
we've learned a lot.
Like
we've learned
email
a lot the last
language. Yeah,
You've evolved that space too a lot.
I think we evolved together, right? Like, I think coming together, like
that was Brooke, though.
collectively-
Like, she won't talk about it or give herself credit for it, but like
You poured so much of yourself into the space and the design. You have such a talent with creation of spaces. Like,
yeah, and she doesn't get like a lot of credit for that or like seen by that, which is really annoying from the outside to like watch. But like, we should give her flowers on some of these things. But
1000%.
It's like all the effort that goes into the space, and it's like, how do we evolve from this being like a tactile retail transactional thing, and how do we make it a place, like a real place that like people desire to want to come to feel comfortable? Because that's always, I think,
well, you guys
what
create
we
hella
envisioned,
community
right?
outside. Like,
No, but it's
your
started-
summertime community rocks.
Well, again, so this is so Brooke literally looks at me. Our collective friend Manny is moving, and Brooke's like, "You're getting that patio furniture." I'm like, "What the fuck am I getting patio furniture
Outside,
for?"
'cause it's
what's
a
going on?
lounge.
So Brooke's like, "You're getting that patio furniture now. Get over there." I'm like, "What the hell? Like, are you so adamant about me getting this patio? Like, now?
job.
Like no discussion. It was
Good
a
job,
direct
Brooke.
order with a period at the end of it." And like, I'm gonna get my ass kicked if it doesn't get it done. So
Takes
it all
people.
started with these like IKEA chairs that from Manny's place, and we just started putting chairs outside.
Well, because we used to sit on the curb, the
Yeah.
flower bed curb, and that's where we would sit down, and we were always sitting out there.
we were always standing.
Right.
I would stretch on those pipes, which I don't think was good for
No,
the
but
pipes. Sorry about that.
No, but I think it's good though, because like the early days of cannabis is like,
Yeah.
are we allowed to be seen outside? Is this obnoxious? Is this because like a lot of I think
Smoked
we're-
out that corner.
I don't want to
a lot,
have
bro.
like I don't want to have like a
Still
hot
do.
take or like
So
like
good.
slander, but it's like at this point I don't understand why any other operator. Why are you fucking inside? There's no reason to be hiding indoors.
Yeah.
Be outside chopping it up with your community,
Yes.
with your people,
Yes.
smoking joints. This is what
Yes.
it's supposed to be. Bring it together. Like this whole notion of fucking locked door, hiding in the back, and we're just now like full degenerate outside. Like
Bro.
we're getting noise complaints now. Brooke's made friends with people across the street.
Yes.
Yeah, we've had bylaw officers come by. We've had the AGCO come by.
The noise police have
But-
come by.
Because they're like, oh, we don't know if we like weed being smoked out in the corner. Like, we're not hiding anything,
Good.
right? Like, this is what we always envision the retail experience to be, is like
And it
out
takes-
there chopping it up.
Yeah.
That's it.
Because it's our hustle. Like, we have to understand, back to the stigma in the history, this is just a fucking hustle. People are hustling every day, whether legal, illegal, it's no different. We just do it with a lot of tax and a lot of rules. But, like, fundamentally, we're doing the same thing anyone else is doing. So, like, why am I not on the street at their level chopping it up? Because that's what we're doing.
Let's
We're no
go.
better than anyone else. Like,
Bro.
it's just our hustle within the box that we're in. But, like,
And
I
exactly.
think that's, like, where, like, we got to see some evolution in the retail space. It's
Absolutely.
like, this should be a place where people want to be.
And
More
you're
loungy,
kind of
right?
you're kind of leading edge in that regard, and it's good to know that things are sort of lightening up a bit. I guess
It
or
takes-
there's boundaries to be pushed now.
It takes
and you're-
those steps.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
steps
totally.
we're
Brooke's the
taking.
catalyst. She's like, they have to be outside. Like, Brooke saw it clearer than anyone, being like, this is where it needs to go. This is my touch. I'm telling you, Mike, this is what needs to happen. Like, me yelling at her about, like, being pedantic about a story is like the flip-flop, being like, there needs to be chairs outside. There
Yes.
needs to be a place where people can hang and be.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay. And then you arm wrestled me into getting a bench. I'm like, not a bench. Chaos is going to happen if we fucking
Well,
leave a
because you
bench.
got to remember, we're across from Harrison, and we see what the benches can draw.
They're beds. They're
right?
beds.
Yeah,
a bench
so-
is a bed.
So Mike was like, "What? How are we going to kind of prevent this?" But it worked out.
No,
really well.
and then it's just evolved to like a patio furniture set, and now it's just like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know about you having moments, but like I do a lot of delivery a lot of the time, so like I'm kind of like in and out of the store, and it never ceases to amaze me. Like every time we're coming back, or I'm like, you know, 4:30 in the afternoon, I come downstairs, there's like 8 people outside, just hanging.
That's
Just
the
chopping
vibe.
it up.
You guys are a
smoking
fucking
weed,
hang.
Just like,
Yeah.
but it's all not. It literally stemmed from Brooke seeing it, being like, "This is need to be a community. Community equals chairs. Chairs equals people." And now it's just kind of like,
Well, it was happening
It's just-
anyway,
it was-
right? You
yeah.
could
It was
see
happening
that
where
because
you
that's
saw
where
it.
we would sesh.
yeah.
That's
Brooke
like
saw it, right? Like,
I
you
just
can't
thought, like,
smoke
if I
in the
make it more
stores.
inviting, maybe
Yes.
more people will come, or more people want to be there, or more people will think it's
It's
less-
nice to have the option to sit somewhere and smoke your joint after you've just bought it.
it's
know?
safe too, and in that
or just
area,
chop it up.
it's you bring heart to that corner, to that area, and it's
Well, I
like
think
it
we've all
feels
been-
safe.
We've been
It's
through a tough
beautiful.
time. Like,
Yeah.
man, like we've been through COVID, but like, you know, on a different like
Yeah, we
tone.
should
But
all
like
be
Brooke and I,
home.
just like when you guys are at the
I
store,
am
like when you
high.
get the opportunity to talk to like 80 to 100 people, like you can see the stress, you can see the anxiety, you can see the confusion, the uncomfortableness. Like everyone's just looking for a place and a space and like somewhere to fit in. Like it was clear, like I could see it, I just didn't know how to like execute it or like make it happen. And Brooke's just like, no, yeah, cheers.
Cheers,
Just,
bud.
it'll all solve itself. And like that's
Cheers.
that's kind of just like where we're at.
Love
And it's a
that.
beautiful hang. We were
It
there
just kind of
last
just
week.
happened. It's not
Yeah.
forced. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
like,
such a great hang, actually. So
It's
It's-
always interesting. There's always,
Yeah.
there's always.
oh, the amount of people, yeah, and just like, you know, transient people, sit down, chop it up, like, tell me your story, like, you know what I mean, like that. Those are some of the most entertaining moments for me. Not like a condescending or like a facetious way. It's more just like generally, like, yo, I got 5 minutes. Tell me your story.
Yeah.
Hit it. We'll pick up round 2 later, but like,
Yeah, it was such a
you
beautiful
sit there and you
energy,
can just
man.
hear people's story. And you're like, okay, like,
That's so beautiful.
it's a oddly rewarding place to be on the other end of it.
Yeah. You know, there was this a study just Sam told me today. They just did it yesterday. They researched if stoners are higher empaths, have more empathy, and it's absolutely true.
I think that's
So
I think a
that
lot
goes
of-
hand in hand with listening and like being
What
felt
businesses
and understood.
listen? Like it's hard, right? Like we're like it's like you're looking at like an immovable object a lot of the time. Like, we're humans, but like we're dealing in businesses that don't deal with humanality about anything. Like it's the hardest part. And that's why we kind of got into this, like to bring it all back. Like it's like cool. We can try to run a business that has meaning for Brooke and I, and our own fulfillment, our own like whatever it is we want to get out and prove to the world. But like you can do the right things, and it was like really engaging for us to be like even at financial consequence and like fuck it. Like at certain points you're like fuck it. Like money come, we'll make it up a different way. But like there's certain things that can't get sacrificed for like doing things the right way, whether that's like taking care of your staff, whether that's like paying for fucking weed, whether that's like I can only imagine how much we get sponsored on a daily basis, but it's for the basis of the community. It's basis for people to come together, try things. Like, it's all been really interesting.
That's beautiful, man. It's so special. What a beautiful attitude. Fucking love
I
it.
know, it's been so good too. Before we start to wrap up here, I want to know from both of you what your current relationship with weed is, and if you're using it for any specific reasons that you're willing to share with us.
Or just partying, because that's
Or
sick,
just
too.
partying, yeah, and just like having a good time with it, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think it's just got more specific. Like, I know what time of day I want to, like, smoke certain, like things, or times I want to have, like, drinks or eat. You know what I mean? It depends on what I want to do, what I'm actually doing. I feel like format-wise it's probably changed. I think we both lean into the concentrates a little more, capsules, oils, things like that. But I also think it's still, like, pretty experimental because we're trying so many things continually. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, completely mental health probably related fundamentally. Like mood enhancement for one. Like just like that's why capsules and stuff. Like this is my lifeblood. Like I'm basically just eating capsules all day long to basically function and to like keep it moving. But like you get just around the edges. Like a lot of the time, just the stress, the anxiety, the shit that comes at you, and you're like, how do you handle that? Like. What's this say when the body's giving you a little feedback? Sometimes it takes the edge off, but like, predominantly for me, or just
That's
literally
good.
like so. It's I never thought I'd turn into this like functioning
Disciplined stoner?
discipline.
Yeah, me either.
Got the
actually.
plug. Market.
Yes. Wow. What a blessing.
Welcome.
Yeah, you are
And now it's just all day, every day. It's just like
officially disciplined stoners.
yeah. We smoke a lot of weed. We smoke like, how many like weed SKUs do you think we brought in 3.5 years? Like how many like unique strains have crossed the bow of 1922 desk into a customer hand?
I think those magnets on the cover are
Thousands?
Yeah, I think that's like only a fraction of it.
Like how many strains do you think you've smoked? Like
So
think
many.
if like, you were to think of
personally-
it that way.
Because of you guys, or directly at and through the store, like including the WeedSearch before you guys opened, or just
Just like today, like boom. Like it's got to be hundreds, if not thousands, by now, right?
hundreds for sure. Like
Hundreds, yeah, I'd say.
probably like 5, 6,
Easily.
7.
Really?
Probably like 500 or 600. I'd
Yeah.
say probably.
Like, we
For
probably
you,
smoke-
of all time, yeah, because you're late. Like I would say for me, more closer to 2 strains, because I go back to strains. So
We
in
probably have,
terms
like-
of different strains,
Yeah, different.
Wait, and are we just talking about smoking them, or like?
Yeah, I'm just talking
any
about
form?
strains.
Trying
Like,
them.
we probably have 50 net new strains, and we try easily a month, easily
I'd say about
every single
500.
month.
Fuck.
Like when you think of it that way, right? Like you're constantly interacting.
So think about, we tried all Ace Valley, right? So it's like the White Shark, the
The Great White
CBD,
Shark.
the Great White Shark,
Yes.
the Kosher Kush, and then we tried all of the I mean, God, these are classic throwback brands.
Yeah, okay,
But, like,
it's definitely
we-
hundreds.
back
I
in
don't
Yeah.
know.
back in the day,
Think of all the
spinach,
figures, the
all
spinach.
yeah, like all of those pre-rolls of spinach that we would try as they'd roll
Broken
out.
Coast.
Yeah,
Fuck,
the,
figure
the
was
gauge.
figure.
Yeah.
Aw, man.
What happened? But then, so if you count each one of those products as a SKU, plus all like the weed and bags that they gave us with the names with the permanent marker on them, like that, like definitely hundreds, like probably like.
So like I've enjoyed that to be like, how do I
Grab a pre-roll.
make that into like making my life better?
Yes.
So it's like
You
through
really
all that-
can
like,
start
this-
to.
I'm angsty. Stay the hell away from like
Smoke weed.
some sort of like
Yeah.
diesel cross or something like new. Like you can almost
Amen.
get to it that way, right?
Yeah.
You got to zone
Yeah.
in, tune in, like you
Yeah.
were saying, like
Yeah.
to the strain when you need it for what. That's why you can self-diagnose. That's the magic of strains.
I
It's
think-
different
Yeah.
types.
And that gets to a place I always come to where like long-term weed users, obviously they get to a place of trial and error like that, so they can really cater to themselves and create that like good relationship with weed. But it takes a minute to get there. Like when
Yeah.
you first start smoking weed, you're just gonna be silly for a while. Like it
Yeah,
you really
totally.
have to like continue your journey with how
Totally.
like THC plus terps interact with your body. and it's very different. And sometimes you're in for a wild ride, and you have to. There's lessons to be learned there.
It's so mood dependent too. Like it just depending on the mood you're in when you start. Like it just
Yeah.
And like that's the level we're getting at. Like with cannabis, like we could be having this level of depth of conversation in store. Like it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
Like if you were to index this against like working at the LCBO, like it's not like a person at the cash has to be responsible for like where the region and the dirt sample of where the grape was grown in Niagara for like.
But most bud tenders do.
But like we have that responsibility to get that in the depth right now. So it's been an interesting time to like.
Are consumers slowing down with the high THC, or is that still really prevalent?
That Yank Fest is still going on.
I feel like there's still definitely that group
Customer
of people.
base.
Yeah.
You know what? I think we've been over I think we kind of like insulated ourselves a little bit from that, like
Really?
because like when you like because we've been just like really fixated on like fastest restock, like every single Monday it's a brand new menu, like we just flip it.
That's really cool.
That like
That's a
it's
good
not necessarily
method.
about like the THC or the label on the bin. It's more just like we're the people they interact with on a daily basis. So it's kind of like we've been able to build this trust. It's like, hey, this is gas. It's gas. I don't think even question to even look down to check it now. Like obviously there's gonna be the THC monster and the All-Star and like just that's cheapest, like cool, fill your boots. But like it's been really cool to be able to like build trust just through all those interactions, because it's like that's why we smoke so much weed. Like I don't care if it says 60%. Like if it goes heavy behind the eyes and it's a kush and a kush smoker comes in, it's like, give me your heavy kush. Like it's kind of like, how do we get away from that conversation? Because it doesn't really lead anywhere. It's a no-win spiral, chase your tail. Like everyone's gonna feel defensive. There's no winning in like the THC type of conversation.
Until we can talk terps, we can't know the entourage effect, which is what's really steering here.
And that's why we smoke. And that's like it goes back to Brooke's whole thing about testing the weed and ranking it and interacting with it. And
you guys have done that research to create that trust with your community and your customer that they don't even question, and that's what you realize. That's your only space of service of value, really, as a retailer. Your choice and selection of your products, because it's not like the legacy where you could go get different flour. You have to choose from the same thing, but the choices you make to bring it in. So curation.
Yeah, there's 3,000 things to pick from.
You are curators. You really are like that's an important role in all this, man.
Well, I think we've just been able to get it down to kind of like a science a bit. Like it just takes time. It's 3 years, right? Like you start to get a feel. Some of it I can explain. Some of it is just institutional knowledge, and you just got to do it to do it. But like, I think we've been able to get it down to a point where like we understand the customers we're trying to serve. Like if it's dubs, trips, quads, like we get that. We get one sativa, one hybrid, one indica. I think of it like a 3x3 grid. We kind of know how much we're going to sell and all those things, and we've kind of been able to get it down. We're like, all right, cool. Like this is how we're going to cycle through cushes for the month. Like we're going to do pink, then there's an OG, then there's the new 1964 Death Bub. Let's come. We'll do a bubble kush.
That Death
So,
Bubba.
like,
1964
Did you
Death
try
Bubba.
that shit?
Yes.
Of course.
So good.
We liked
So we're able to
that.
like think about it, and then like financially we kind of like put some frameworks together where like we know how to make the best decisions for the capital that we have for the company, and to be able to operate as proficiently as possible. Like we've really learned how to put those like really hard principles in. So like a lot of it, Brooke and I just tee it up, and then we have other people. Like it takes an army in a village, right? Like it's not
you
just
guys
all
are
Brooke
here
and
right
I.
now.
Like we're here. There's other people running the store, looking at weed,
Which is rare, so
Right.
thank you for being here. Appreciate that.
But it's cool to be like, hey, like someone that's not as close to it, be objective and be like, no, it's cool. We've had enough Girl Scouts crosses in a quad. We should probably go try this. And you're like, good choice. We make like we all agree.
So you're speaking
we know
the
it's
language.
we know the person it's gonna delight. I can name them. We can think of them. Like after 3 years, you kind of know exactly who they are. And then we can get into the Uber thing too. But it's like, how on Uber do you think that will that attract a net new customer? Like, if someone sees, a strain that they've always loved. So I don't know. It all kind of like ties in.
It's the option.
I need to ask you a real quick retail question. Did you guys ever get the legacy market, but the Mac craft that they had?
The legacy
No,
market?
what's the one that came out of the gate? We had that.
Yeah.
Margie
There
Mint
was their-
Cross.
The quad, right?
It's always a quad, but it's
Yeah.
a rotating skew, which
Yeah.
I like. I enjoy that for a
Slurricane.
brand.
It was the Slurricane. And it was a Maggie Mint Slurricane cross, I think.
Yeah, and they had a Mac come out, and
I know, I
no one
couldn't find
seems
it.
to have had it. Anyways, I just
No,
wanted
it's
to know
there.
if that
There's
rung
a
bells with
plethora of
you.
reasons. I don't know if I don't.
That's fine.
What's the favorite thing you're smoking on these days? That frost was really nice that you brought. Thank you.
Yeah, that was fucking rad.
There's definitely more value shoppers in the cannabis market, right? There's more people. Your average customer isn't a premium buyer, or would you say it's 50-50?
Okay, let's get into this. This is good. This is the good shit.
I'm curious,
Let's
'cause
spit some shit right now.
I just seen some
Okay, so here's the
information that I
thing.
wasn't supposed to see, and all the top selling brands
They're all
are
value. Yeah,
they're all
so
value.
Here's the thing, like anyone, it's always just like cool. Someone approaches something from a value standpoint, but like as operators and people working in the industry, it's our job to upsell,
Educate.
Just through education, through experience, through price point. There's a million like little levers that you can pull, but like it's our job to nurture people up the food chain if that's what they seem to value, and even if they go up and buy the legacy market and they're like a $20 eighth kind of bottom of the barrel, Jean-Guy sort of good supply sort of thing. They try it once. Okay, I liked it, saw the value, but I'm comfortable being back down. That to me is success. Like that's kind of cool.
They
But,
tried it.
It's our job to get people up, and I don't think necessarily as an industry we're really critically thinking about how to elevate a buyer or give them different experiences, because you can't buy what you don't know. Like if you've never bought better weed, you don't know if better weed exists, you'll never go back down, right? So it's like as operators, that's our hustle to try to like provide those experiences to get people
But it's
there.
a valuable, eye-opening experience
Yeah.
when someone realizes how much better for them it is to smoke
Yeah.
better weed.
Yeah.
Like we literally service the flower customer, 2 SKUs, that's it. One sativa, one indica, $20 even cash, bing boom.
For an eighth.
You want value? There's your value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Value to me is value.
I like that.
Value
Keep them on
and cheap,
deck.
but I think it's
Keep weed in people's hands.
I think
Yeah.
the distinction is key. Value and cheap are two different things.
Okay.
Cheap weed is just shit weed, and that dusty, that's why it's
Speak
cheap.
on it.
Right? Value is just, it's good value for money.
There you go.
Right? So I think the distinction is key. But
That's
like,
what I say, yeah.
We'll
I don't think you're selling any
We
shit.
service
No.
the people that will come in, because it's important for Brooke and I that we are accessible. Like no one should ever feel like they don't have enough money to come in.
That's right.
Like that's an important
Especially
thing
for
that
your
we never,
medicine,
like
bro.
that we never want to lose sight of being like that should never ever, right?
You guys keep a handy pre-roll on deck, don't you? What's the cheapest pre-roll you can grab and go? Usually you've always had
So
a
this is controversial. Like a lot of people are gonna get like probably pretty pissed off, and
Yeah.
there's gonna be some feedback probably on
Let's
this
go.
conversation. But let's real talk. Like let's go.
Grab him,
And I don't
pre-roll.
wanna talk- and please interrupt me. I don't mean to be going
No, it's okay.
million miles an hour here, but let's go a year ago, right? You're like, oh shit. Same store sales are down, foot traffic is down. It's obvious by this discussion we're having that value customers are the biggest customers to go after. So it's like, fuck, like how do we, Brooke and I, possibly drive more people in the door while making more money? Like that's very hard. You can drive people through the door, but if it drives no value to the business, what's the point?
At what
Like, what's the
cost?
effort?
Yeah.
You're paying people to like accomplish nothing. We're time to accomplish nothing. So you could see the moments of truth happening. So it's like you could go $3 single half gram and service that person, or go down like really cheap $1 gram. But really, all it ended up doing was like, I feel bad for these operators, because like this is where I come back at the start of being specialized. Like being an operator is a specialized skill. Like you have to understand like macroeconomics, you have to understand financial principles. Like there's things that come with like, it's not just doing that. You're re-rating all of your customers that were buying a gram are now buying half a gram, and there's no incremental people walking through the door. So like you start to get into like this value, but everyone thought value was just putting the floor so fucking low. That's
Yeah.
what value meant. Like that's, to me, that's not what value means, right?
So-
Like that's just cheap and you're doing cheap thing, but value is like there's still floor, like there's a basement and there's the ceiling of what value is, but like we just decided that we don't play that game. Like we'll do a $20 eighth all in tax cash, because that's like for our customer base, that's where they are, and they value the convenience of just slicing off, and it's a 30-second in and out, and then 1 gram on pre-roll. So it's basically $20 for flower, and it's $10 on pre-roll, and if there's a
1 gram pre-roll, $10 out the door.
all in out.
That's what I'm talking about.
And obviously, like if there's situations like Brooke and I
Good supply?
take care of people if that's what's like. Again,
You
for the
guys have
accessibility
always
part,
been
but,
so
like,
kind. I've seen you put weed in people's hands many times and just be very abundant with it. I know the weed gods will always look out for your weed consumption
Yeah.
because you've always served up the medicine, whether, yeah,
But
that's
those
very
are
nice.
they're tough
Bless you.
decisions,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah,
you just have
for
to make
sure.
them, and
So-
you have to live with the
so-
consequences of both sides of them.
What is that a rotating SKU usually, or what brands are giving you the opportunity to pull that off? The $10 all in. Is it a good supply? Is it a high wave, or what was that?
No, we've been
Highway,
doing Buddy
yeah.
Blooms a lot. The Buddy Blooms a lot. We've been also be doing is it the Marywell or the?
Buddy-
there's been a couple of them.
Okay, and they change.
Yeah,
Well,
like we just
there's
rotate
new-
them through.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
guys
new
change.
value
Yeah.
brands coming to the market
Yeah.
all the
just-
time,
Yeah.
I imagine.
That's just what
There's
we're
so
into
much new
lately.
coming,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So like,
And do you have regulars who are premium buyers?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say
So-
so. I was thinking
so
of
when
flower
you're
improvements.
you're
and just
shopping-
everything else. Yeah, it was going through my head. I'm like, yeah.
It's
Well,
okay to say yes.
You have a lot. You have a lot of customers, a lot of different range. But like, I always think it's fun when you're like a buyer for a store and you get to treat your premium customers by like ordering in some bangers. You know, like the sneakerhead in me is like, ooh, like what do you got? Like, you know what? I always,
Oh
like,
yeah,
when
I
come-
remember customers coming in and literally being like, "What's the
What's the
best?
best?"
What's the best?" And
And-
I would just be like, "Ah!"
No, but like, and you two would be the ones that would make all those decisions.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
always picking like, what's the best weed? You two pick.
Yeah.
We
you
geek
two
out
know.
so hard. Like I'd come to the shop, we'd bust up the weed, we keep just like trying it.
It was so
and it was top of
exciting.
mind. So when a
Yeah.
customer came in, it was like, okay, I don't know where your pockets are today. That's usually where I started. It's like, yo, but they just got this shit that's like the shit. Remember when Ghost Drops first dropped?
Oh.
Whoa.
Their packaging
And
too was so.
The last time you sold you kept your own joint that you had got.
It was just last week. I was just there in the back hanging out with them, and I tried to walk to the front to pay for my own thing.
Which I don't know if we need to bleep this out.
I'm sorry, shit. No, I have my cancel.
That's
I
true.
got my cancel through you guys, with you guys. So fuck right
I didn't
off.
see anything.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just saying.
We'll talk about it.
We'll reconsider. No, but I had it on me. I had the El Blunto on me.
Yeah.
And that was.
you sold it twice.
Oh no, it was
because you
just
were-
on me. I was trying to buy
Because
something
you
else.
were
though,
just
but yeah.
like pulling it out, being like, "This is dope."
I'm like, this is sick, yo. And then he's
and they're like, "Oh, fuck."
I was like, it's expensive though, like just to let you know, but like it's really good. Like you will get high. Oh, and it's windy. It actually will stay lit in the wind pretty good. Like I just kept applying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
did
but
you like
premium.
it when you smoked it?
Oh,
Yeah, we like the El Blunto.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
And we had to go
Tip.
like we had to go there because like the early days,
Yeah.
like anyone would come in the store, and then like as things have evolved, you really got to pick your tribe, and you can't be all things to all people. And like I said, we service everyone, but predominantly like we're looking for someone that's enthusiastic and understands and
What-
like want to get into like the trusting of it. And it's been really cool the last year for us to lean into every single Monday. Basically, it's just like the menu's flipped, and we could see
love
because that's
that.
risky, right? Because like the point is to your original comment was people like the regular thing, they don't like change. It's like, hey, I want to buy my Starwalker Kush. Give me my Starwalker
Yeah.
Kush. I have Berry Kush. No, Starwalker Kush. Like
Is
you're gonna
Starwalker
lose
still
you're gonna
fucking
lose customers because they don't
Nice.
like
It's
the
strong. Yeah.
they don't like the change. But it's like we're gonna have to let them go because I think for the greater good and for what the person we're attracting and how as we're growing, like I think people value the just how everything's always moving. Like
Yes.
nothing sits on the shelf basically on flour past 7 days. Like if it does, it's very
That's
rare.
very
But like so
cool.
like every Monday, Brooke and I are basically spaz trying to.
You're leveraging your greatest power though as a curator by offering choices. But I'd be curious. So this is what I was going to ask you originally by bringing up premium. When you're shopping as a buyer, what to bring in? How do you assess that customer? I'm sure you have just like kind of tiers, and you fill it. Obviously, you have the knowledge of like the cushes and stuff, but it's basically harvest / brand / price point. So what have you been filling in with those premium SKUs lately? What have you been going through?
Can you remember?
I
Honestly,
know.
they change so much.
They change so frequently.
Yeah, you guys change them all.
Well,
Okay.
I went and got the drip. Just shout out the drip
Yeah.
from you. I
So good.
I high buddied that shit, but not for the reason high buddy. I wanted to see if you guys carried it, and I was close to the studio, so you came out quick on
There's
high
been,
buddy
like, there's
instead of
so
going
much-
through your website.
Yeah.
And I found that you did, and I was like, sweet, I'll go up there and buy this. So that was a premium. I think that's a premium.
Black market's
anyways.
always the kind of staple premium. I think most, even growers I talk to, it's like on the legal market, we all kind of agree. It's like that's kind of what you grab if you just want good weed, for sure. Simply Bare, obviously, is one
Do you
that
guys?
we really...
We never carried. I wasn't on the Simply Bear train when I worked at
Yeah, I
1922.
think we've had it in
We
a
got
couple
into
of
it.
times, but not.
Yeah.
Not like
We try to stay
overly.
objective to it because it's not
Yeah.
really like we love and respect and everyone's
Oh, yeah.
hustle and all the things. And when it makes sense, we
Gotta make
will get it
choices.
on the shelf. But like it's just you can't do it all at once. And
Totally.
it's fun to be able to rotate. And there's but like this is why it's like it's so interesting that there's a lot of such negative narratives in the industry. But man, it's never been more exciting. Like,
Yeah.
there's 3,000 things on the OCS right now you can buy.
Yeah, that's pretty
3,000. You know how much flower variety and how much innovation and like how much good stuff sitting there. Like flow through is a vehicle and a mechanism to like get micro growers and everyone get access to get like eyeballs and in people's hands. Like,
Explain flow through for people who don't know. It's a cool thing that happened
yeah, it was.
recently.
Think of it like derived of the Ontario Cannabis Store. It's a public entity, so obviously like they don't have unlimited budgets. So like, you know, when you get listings with them, they would leave out a whole bunch of people because they just don't have the money to be able to go give everyone that wants a listing a wallet share or like a purchase order with dollars. So basically what they're able to do is bring on listings and give people the opportunity to bring it into retailers to make decisions for the customers that they know would enjoy. And basically you pre-buy it 2 weeks in advance and you know it's coming in, but it gives us so much access to so much new variety and so
That's
many
it.
cool things
Banging.
that otherwise, you know, our like 3,000 is because of flow through. Like if we didn't have flow through, there's probably back to like 1,500 SKUs, which is still cool, but
More
like
access.
the variety's never been better, the quality's never been better.
And
it's-
that'll
what's
spark
nice is,
new
like,
innovation because
and you
like,
get to just have different things that other people
it's
don't
becoming
have,
accessible.
too.
Like to
It's-
get a
it's
quad
great.
now is not outrageous.
yeah.
Like you can buy a quad for like under $40. You can buy a quad for like $30. Like it's really cool to see where the market's kind of like settled in. Like
It's
the
fu-
better growers are the better growers. They always will be. But like that's
Yeah.
why it's cool to mix in so many.
Yeah. As far as your categories and your products, how many SKU places do you hold for premium flowers? Like, do you buy for? Like 2 or 3? How big is your menu? Like 30 flowers at once kind of thing? Or
Yeah,
like, or how much percentage of,
Well,
of,
for,
of,
like,
y-
if
of your
it's
flower
Probably
buy?
like 20, mid-20s for flower.
20%?
Oh, like,
If they're doing your grid,
yeah.
if they're doing your grid, at least 3. So
Yeah.
you'd have like a sativa and indica hybrid
Yeah.
Yeah.
generally.
Sick.
Yeah.
But like the gap between quad and trips, like really,
Dude,
like,
we
the-
know.
like,
We're
It's
starting
always
to see
going
that
like
honestly,
this.
too.
like I don't mean to go on a tangent, but I was just in Vegas and like I was appalled with like the weed, but it's not to shit on their weed. It's to be like, man, we're smoking some of the best weed.
We
like,
are.
I think we're
We are.
not really aware of like the
We're not.
quality
We're
and,
blessed.
like
Yeah.
we are so blessed.
Oh,
Okay, weed's legal in Vegas, right?
Shout out Primo.
Can you smoke on the street?
Yeah,
Did you?
yeah.
Yeah.
What did you smoke?
I didn't get high. That's for sure.
Did you go to a legal shop? Because
Yeah.
I've never
Planet
been
13.
there. Planet 13. Was
Honestly,
it fun
we're-
in
like,
there?
when
What
we-
was the experience
It was
like?
shit, but like this is the thing. Like we don't give her like honestly like Planet 13 couldn't come to Ontario and compete. There's too many good operators here. They get eaten
Really?
alive.
Oh my god.
They get absolutely eaten
Okay,
alive.
what
Let's
are we
go,
looking at?
Toronto.
What are we
Let's
looking
go.
at?
No, but like we don't give ourselves as either operators, brands, independents, like
Artists, no one in
there's
Toronto gives
there's some
themselves the
best in
credit.
class people operating, and like I get it, we're in a shitty industry and financially it's hard and it's stressful.
Give me
but,
a
like,
visual of this Planet 13.
Think of like a 10,000 square foot big space, 50 people on staff, 3 customers in store,
What?
and the transaction to buy 6 pre-rolls took 21 minutes. That's what, if I can name it, that's what it was.
Overproduced bullshit nonsense.
And I asked for a kush and I got a banana.
Was it a banana
Was it a
kush?
banana kush?
Was not at all. So I'm like, okay.
So you asked for a classic
it goes
vibe
back-
OG, and they gave you a fruity.
But they didn't even know what that meant. So that's how much like
Right.
they're just doing it for a transaction. It's like we're so far ahead.
And it didn't really get you high?
No, because like look at what we're smoking here and now. Like
Primo,
there's-
baby.
You can't just walk
Yeah,
into
and
the street
this shit
and get.
was really good.
Yeah, shout out Frost, Brad.
Rotating strain 91 Royale.
Yeah.
I wonder what that is. Got
Yo.
some farnesene in here.
There's
Okay.
there's a fucking sick drop coming out by Primo and Trees. This homie Wallace, become a buddy of ours, grew this Bundy that gives you like Miracle Alien Cookies Euphoria and gives you that stanky earthness that you like in those OG Kushes. And then fucking Trees, who grows Animal Face for Carmel, and he has bangers. He's growing a Cap Junkie that looks like fucking frosted Cheerios. It looks white. It's so trichomy, and they go together in 2 3.5s like the Cognoscente flight. Did you guys ever try the Cognoscente? Fucking the pairings that are coming out. The way that the growers are starting to interact in the industry is super cool. Like, you're right, man. The products are just like...
Yeah, they're getting.
heating
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
And
yeah.
the more people like collab like that, we're getting crazy options.
But that's why it gets
Thank
hard,
you.
right? Like so.
You
like,
gotta make hard choices.
Yeah,
so
that's
you,
what back to the operator thing. Like Brooke and I have to make really hard
What's the
decisions.
indica
all the
you
time.
got? The premium indica you got? Do you know on hand right now, or does it change too frequently?
Blueberry Yum Yum by Cake and Caviar.
Oh, how's that? Like it? Fuck yeah. I think I tried their
I'm
pre-roll.
trying to think about what it was.
Honestly, like for
Blueberry
Brooke and I,
Yum
that's
Yum.
a loaded question. Like we,
Oh, I'm sorry.
like there's so many things that like, but that's, but like it's. You
I
know,
guess
This,
artists
fucking
don't
this. What was this?
Yeah,
I
Frost.
consider Frost a premium. No.
It's a quad all day.
Oh, all
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Frost is a quad. All
Yeah.
day. I know. Sorry, I'm getting all into specifics, and I'm out here fucking.
Packaged on November 8th. Look at that.
You know-
and they have a harvested on. That's considerate.
And like, what date is it today? So it's like packaged 20 days ago.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you used to get it
That's
was like packaged like a
sexy.
year ago.
And Brooke literally
Yeah,
goes out of her
new
way
days.
every week when we get a new menu. She even puts the package date on all this stuff.
Fuck.
God love her.
Yeah, God love her.
So it's up to date. Yeah. I know people were looking for that.
Yeah, this is dope.
Yo.
Fuck, man, this has been such a fun ride.
This has been crazy.
I'm so glad that we got your story out. And of course, you talked about it with such ease, but really it was incredible to watch you guys build this thing and manifest it. And
Yeah,
I'm
it's
so excited
crazy.
to see where you take it and what you continue to do. And yeah,
And thank you for
it's
being
fucking beautiful.
pioneers.
Yeah.
Also.
Taking it on the chin like some winners, being the creators.
And not giving up on it. I
thank
think
you.
sometimes I was talking to some acting buddies today about it. When you see people leave the acting community, you're like, I get it. Like,
It's hard.
Godspeed, you know?
Yeah,
like,
no one's judging
thank
you
for
if
your
you've- if
time.
you've
no
bailed.
one's judging you, but
Yeah.
you guys are like,
Yeah, Brooke
I
said
don't know,
something
you're in
beautiful
it.
the other day. She was like, "We're going from surviving to thriving."
Oh, surviving to
nice.
thrive.
yeah,
Like,
you deserve it.
It's
Yeah.
true, right? I just felt like, yeah.
well, it's hard, right? Because I think a lot of people see the narratives and the successes, and you grandstand from it. But like a lot of people don't see what's going on in the day to day and how hard it is and the struggle and like it's relentless and choices and just like every single day it just comes at us. Like we literally look at each other half the time. We're just like, what the hell happened today? Like what the fuck? Like things can go sideways that fast, but like.
But things
yeah.
also, you get mad
Sounds
come
fun.
ups too. And good things happen, I think. You know,
It's a
when
ride.
you stay focused. Yeah.
It's a ride, and you've chosen to stay on it. So good job.
Weed search, though.
All right.
You have that word.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congrats.
Oh yeah, can you tell people that?
Of course.
Yeah.
It's a fucking legal fact.
Yeah.
It's a legal fact. They
So
only,
what
they-
did you do with WeedSearch?
We just trademarked the word WeedSearch.
Yeah, fuck yeah, it's
Yeah, like
theirs.
went all the way out of her way to be like, I'm going to do like going through
Yeah,
all the
'cause
legal
it's gonna
paperwork
blow up.
to literally trademark it. So
Uh-huh.
anyone out there steals it, Brooke's coming after you.
Yeah.
She's ruthless too.
This is weed search.
Okay, so we find you if you're in Canada, I guess, at 1922cannabisretail.com. Yes?
Yeah, where can people find you?
Yep. Keep going.
And Instagram, I'm not sure what the
Like
handle
it's
is.
1922 or shop _.
They've
We've
had a
lost so many
couple,
handles.
Yeah,
It's
it
like-
changes so frequently.
We'll put it below. We'll
Yeah.
put it in the
Yeah.
description below.
But yeah.
Is there anything that you want to
sure.
leave the people with?
Got any closing remarks?
No, I don't think I do. Other than just like thank you for having us.
Of course, yeah.
And,
And it's been amazing for us to watch you guys
Yeah, like
start this hustle.
Yeah.
170th
I know, right?
episode.
Yeah.
170.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks
Like
for
for the
being
average person,
170.
170, that's a lot of reps. That's
Yeah.
a lot of time.
Yeah.
That's everything. So respect to you guys.
Thanks,
you.
man.
For
Yeah,
championing
right.
things and
Yeah.
giving a platform and an audience to people to see what cannabis really is all about versus what they think it's about. It's been a beautiful thing to watch your rise as well. So
Thanks.
Love,
we
brother.
give you your flowers on our exit.
Thank
Oh,
you.
bless you. Thank you so
Love
much.
You guys.
Love you guys.
This super smart homie over here just said that we were great, so you should subscribe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
And
Like
share
and
with a
subscribe.
friend. Thank you for joining us. Love you guys.
See you next week.
See you soon. Bye. Let's
Oh
go!
That
2
was fun.
hours.
So
Yes!